I just want to welcome to the program Ghanshyam Tiwari of the Samajwadi Party, Dr. Sanjay Baru, a senior journalist. Kartike is still with us. Hang on, Kartike. Akshay Marathi is still with us. Sadanand Dhume is still with us. If you have just joined us, the NDA is leading in 300 seats to the India Alliance's 220. While we are still waiting for the final numbers, one thing is clear. The exit poll projection for both alliances has been proven to be wrong. I want to start with Sanjay Baru. Sanjay Baru had a column in the Indian Express where you said even the BJP doesn't want 400 par or 370, which is the target that Modi set for the BJP. You said even the BJP's, Modi's colleagues don't want the party to be that powerful. I don't know what the final numbers will be, but it ain't going to be 370 for the BJP. Sanjay Baru, your first thoughts? I can't hear Sanjay. Okay, Dr. Baru, I think you're muted at your end. We can't hear you. Karthik, do you want to have a quick update till then?
Barkha, I think this might interest Sadanand now. I think for some time now, it has stabilized at a point where NDA is in the 290 to 300 range, sometimes slipped down to the late 280s. And the India Alliance is in the 220 to 30 range. And I think this seems to have now stabilized for, I think, an hour. So if nothing dramatic happens, we are looking at a prospect of an NDA government. Yes, Madhvirata is leading. NDA government with the BJP probably not crossing 272. An India bloc where the Congress might cross 100. And that, I think, could be the larger narrative of the results that are coming through. I'm just saying this because at this point, it has stabilized now for some time. I mean, if something had to happen, it would have happened by now. It just seems to have stabilized for the last 45 minutes or so.
Okay, so the big question is, will NDA cross 300? So look at how the goalpost has shifted. Earlier, it was, will NDA cross 400? Then it was, will BJP retain 303, which is what it got last time? Now we are looking at whether NDA, please, can you not speak? Whether NDA will be at 300. Ghanshyam Tiwari, your first responses.
Good morning to everyone, and good morning to a country that is saying, "Fut off dictatorship." This is end of road for nightmarish fantasy of Narendra Modi, Amit Shah, Godi media, the Beiman Punjipatis of electoral bonds to install dictatorship in India. From Uttar Pradesh to across the country, the message is clear. You can capture the exit polls, you can capture the media, but you cannot capture the dreams of a common man who BJP has robbed from basic sense of prosperity. You can't capture the dreams of daughters who BJP robbed by putting Bhushan Sharan Singh like people, or Bilkis Bano rapists by propping them up. BJP has lost the mandate in the real sense. If it is with this kind of misuse of machinery that BJP is somehow able to form the government, Barkha, mark my word, every day in the country, they will protest against BJP, protest against Mr. Modi if he ends up becoming the BJP Prime Minister. Every day, the government that BJP will provide to India will face daily protests from farmers, from youth, from daughters of India against the misrule that they have indulged in last 10 years. And it will begin in Uttar Pradesh. The upcoming state elections, BJP is going to be routed, whether it is in Maharashtra. What a sham they created. That was obviously echoed in the media, that they robbed Shiv Sena of its symbol, of its party. They robbed Sharad Pawarji's party, NCP, of its symbol, of its party. People of Maharashtra are responding. What a sham they created with Sandesh Khali in West Bengal. People are responding in West Bengal. And what a sham. Prime Minister said this election is mujra. People of India are telling the Prime Minister that you can fall to the lowest, but when the people rise, you will fall further. That Dr. Manmohan Singh said that no Indian Prime Minister has fallen to this level. People of India are showing that if the Prime Minister of India chooses to call elections in India as mujra, people will make him fall further.
Ghanshyam, can I ask you something? You said that if the BJP tries to form the government with these numbers, it will be an unstable government that will face daily dissent. Are you then saying that you do not believe that the NDA at 302 is in a position to form the government? Or are you saying that it could be a government and it's time to ask this question with a different BJP Prime Minister?
This is not NDA. This is Narendra Surrender Alliance. A group of people with Narendra Modi and a set of people who were made to surrender by greed, by force of power, by arm twisting, by blackmail. Even their candidates on record while campaigning for BJP said that they were blackmailed. So this Narendra Surrender Alliance will face daily protests from BJP. Those who they have blackmailed and arm twisted, they will face protests with the so-called allies. People like Nitish Kumar have no bearing. People like Chandrababu Naidu will not stand and face the dictatorship of BJP. There is not a single party in India with their morality in place, with their political acumen in place that wants to support BJP, because they know that if you support BJP, it's like committing suicide, or they will come and stab you in the back. They have stabbed every one of their ally in the back. So no political party today in India without pressure would be able to support BJP. And within BJP, no one wants to support Mr. Modi because it's the same blackmail method.
So you are making a very important political argument here. You are saying, irrespective of whether the BJP is the single largest party, irrespective of whether the NDA is in a position to form the government, you believe, Ghanshyam Tiwari, that there's now going to be a churn. A weakened BJP is not going to see allies like Nitish Kumar, Chandrababu Naidu necessarily stay in its camp. Correct?
For 10 years, they played Hindu-Muslim narrative, hateful narrative on TV. They captured the media. Even after that, even after a hijacked media, people are voting them out. Wait and watch as this election results are finalized. The level of anger that people have against BJP, the youth have against BJP, will not allow them to function as a popular government. They can function. They'll try to function as a dictatorial government, but people will give them back what they have given to people with misuse of machinery, with breakage of party, with destruction of democracy.
Okay, Karthike, quickly, I need to go to Dr. Baru, and I'm hoping...
It is fascinating what's happening in Bihar. We thought the JDU was the weak link.
Yeah.
Of the 16 seats it's contesting, it's leading in 15, which means that all the losses are being clocked, whatever 5-6 losses are being clocked by the BJP and the LJP. Do you know what that means? That means that the JDU will be in a much stronger position if an NDA government is formed, not a BJP government. Now, I must say that during the election, I heard murmurs from some journalists in Bihar saying that, actually RJD wants JDU to perform well and that there is something going on. I didn't believe it. I still don't believe it. But what I'm saying is that if something like that was happening, this 15 on 16 leads for JDU is mind-boggling.
Let's bring up the Bihar slide that Karthik is referring to. Dr. Baru, you're having several chuckles. I'm hoping that we can actually hear you this time. Why are you chuckling? You have a Karunanidhi look also with your dark glasses, but why are you chuckling? Why are you chuckling?
I love that Narendra Surrender Alliance.
that is Ghanshyam's line for the day.
I love that line. But Barkha, earlier you said that I had said BJP would not even, nobody wants them to get 370. Well, they are not even touching 270. And I think that's the most important headline of this election so far. And I sincerely believe that this is a vote of no confidence in the leadership of Narendra Modi. And even if the NDA comes to power, the NDA should elect a new prime minister. I mean, I remember in 1996, when the Congress emerged as the single largest party, they took the view that though they were the single largest party, they had fallen in numbers and they had lost the mandate of the people. And Narasimha Rao was asked not to form the government. That was that Congress could have formed the government in 1996 with the support of Chandrababu Naidu and Jayalalitha. I know this for a fact, but they chose not to because they felt they had lost the mandate of the people. I think Narendra Modi has lost the mandate of the people. And therefore, if BJP does not cross 270, NDA can still form a government, but they would have to form a government, I hope, with a new prime minister. That would stabilize the government. I mean, I was worried by some of the remarks made by a panelist about the people of India not accepting a NDA government with Modi at the head of it. I think because Prime Minister Modi led a very fractious campaign, a very divisive campaign, and caused so much anger among so many people, it is important to have a government that unites people. Even if it's a BJP-led government, it should be a prime minister who has the capacity to unite India rather than continue to divide India. I think Modi's strategy in this election was to see if he could polarize and get as much of the Hindu vote as possible. I think what this results so far show is that that strategy has failed. So I'm hoping that even if you have an NDA government with Chandrababu Naidu and Nitish in it, and we both know and everybody knows that neither Naidu nor Nitish have any love lost for Mr. Modi. And I hope that both of them have the courage to stand up and say that they would join an NDA government if the leader is someone else and not Narendra Modi. Because Modi has treated both Naidu and Nitish very badly, and both of them are on record having personally attacked the Prime Minister in the past. So, looking at the numbers today, it is clear that there could be an NDA government, but it will have to be an NDA government with a different Prime Minister and a different agenda from the kind of agenda that, Modi ki guarantee, Modi ki guarantee. It will have to be a BJP ki guarantee now, a BJP government uh, led by a new leader. That is what I hope. It may happen, it may not happen, but I think that will stabilize. It's in the interest of the country to have a stable government. I think my friend Jaishankar has repeatedly said that in an uncertain world that we live in, we need a stable government to deal with all the challenges, international challenges. So if we want a stable government, it will have to be with a prime minister who is inclusive, who unites people, who reaches out to the opposition, who treats the Congress, which has had a massive, resurgence in this vote. I was just telling someone just now that in 2014, Narendra Modi's contribution was to bring the BJP back to power. But in 2024, his contribution is to have revived the Congress party. I think Congress is back in the game. So I hope we have a leader who is able to stabilize the government, who is able to unite the country, who is able to work with the opposition, pursue reforms, pursue policies that will make India a great democracy once again.
So this is a very interesting scenario that both Ghanshyam Tiwari and Dr. Sanjay Baru have painted. An NDA government with a different prime minister, shifting allies, Nitish Kumar, Chandrababu Naidu, moving out potentially. These are all now questions up in the air that can be legitimately discussed. Sadanand, you wanted to come in before I'll bring Zafar, and I can see Sriram Kari also back with us. Sadanand, go ahead.
Yeah, just a couple of things, right? I mean, there's the 1996 example. There's also the 1989 example, right, where Congress emerged as the largest party and again did not stake its claim to form a government because it felt that it had lost the people's mandate. So the question, I guess, for over here is that how low does, and I'd be curious to hear Dr. Baru's views on this, how low does the BJP need to fall before, even though it's the largest party, it can be said to have lost the mandate and not stake a claim to form the government? I think that's one important question. Right now, they're at around 240, which is which is way lower than virtually anyone would have predicted. Certainly, if you'd had this conversation 24 hours ago or even 12 hours ago, no one would have said that the BJP would be at this time of the morning hovering at around the 240 mark. The second, I'm going to push back a little bit gently, which is that I can understand the theory behind a non-Modi NDA or a non-Modi BJP prime minister. I can't really understand how anyone would be able to do that practically, because the fact is that this is his party, and if he chooses to say that, well, I don't have the numbers, but I want to sit in the opposition, I can't think of anyone else emerging from within the party to say that, no, we're going to form a government, and I just find that a little bit far-fetched. But so I'd be curious to hear sort of how.
Sorry.
I'm
so sorry, but to the point we were talking about, Sadanand, we do have some individual breakup finally of BJP and Congress, and it is what we've been saying. The BJP is hovering at 238 seats; these are leads. The Congress at 97, the others at 205. Right, so the BJP at the moment, it's a swing of down by 65, and for the Congress at the moment, it's a gain of 45. For the others, it's a gain of 17. So we were kind of right in our assessment that the BJP is hovering at about 240 on its own. It is clearly short of the majority mark. Ghanshyam Tiwari, you wanted to come in? Yeah, Sriram, sorry, come to you right after that. Ghanshyam.
Within BJP, the leadership mantle is going to shift from Amit Shah. Amit Shah was the man behind the scene. As Arvind Kejriwal said, he was waiting for Mr. Modi to retire to take on as the prime minister. Now that backroom prime ministership that Amit Shah was trying to create is going to shift to front room prime ministership under Nitin Gadkari and Rajnath Singh. They are people who have been BJP presidents in the past. There is no love lost with Amit Shah, Narendra Modi, who have completely stymied their leadership. And with the kind of mandate, with the kind of work that they have done, it is clearly their credibility now ranks higher than Mr. Modi. And they are in better place to keep these allies of the Narendra Surrender Alliance than Mr. Modi himself.
Dr. Baru giggles. It's like a doll. You say Narendra surrender and he giggles.
Surrender alliance. That's the most genuine.
But Ghansham, Sadanand has a fair question, right? And the fair question is, you can't tell another party who their leader should be. Nobody can. It's for them to decide that.
We are not saying that. I am saying that there is no single party in India today who can, without finding itself on a fatal blow, align with BJP. Aligning with the BJP is end of your party, end of your sense of democracy, end of any kind of moral propriety. And within BJP also, there are enough MPs who feel that their voice has been muffled, or they cannot express themselves, and they want a better leadership. The everyday protest that we will see against Mr. Modi in India is yet to begin, because people of India will read this verdict as saying, we wanted to change this government, but somehow there was a machinery, there was a media, there was a mechanism that did not allow our full expression to happen. And when that full expression doesn't happen through votes, it will happen through protests, because this government is not fulfilling anything. This government throughout this election did not recognize unemployment as an issue. It did not recognize inflation as the issue. In fact, they had the courage or toxicity to backstab the common man by increasing the milk prices right after the exit polls. They have the toxicity to increase the toll prices right after the exit polls and reward their famed crony capitalists with the rise in share market, because the exit polls created that kind of sentiment. So people are up against this government even after this poll result settled.
Okay, Ghansham, can you just briefly speak about Uttar Pradesh, where your party's led alliance is ahead of the BJP? The BJP is down to 32 seats in Uttar Pradesh. To me, this is the big story of the election, because all of the assumptions of the BJP's politics, right, emanated from their model in the Hindi-speaking heartland, which is exactly where it has actually faced its worst blow. This also raises questions about what happens to Yogi Adityanath. Does he become stronger? Does he become weaker? The central leadership of the BJP is not known to like Yogi Adityanath. He's the only chief minister that they can't actually replace at will. So there are all kinds of questions that are coming up from the UP result, which is really the story of this election, Ghansham.
Important from the Samajwadi Party victory. One is it establishes Akhilesh Yadav as a leader of the Hindi heartland, who can speak towards the aspiration of the youth, who can speak towards the aspiration of the PDA, the Pichda Dalit Alpsankyak Adhi Abadi Mahila Alliance, who can speak about the problems that the common man, the poor and the farmers face. Remember, in Uttar Pradesh, BJP took off their alliance with RLD, thinking that this will further diminish the democracy in the state. But that's one. Second is the whole double engine. In 2022, BJP on its own got 3 crore 80 lakh votes. SP got around 3 crore votes. Now this with RLD surrendering, right? They are getting votes much less, at least 1 crore less votes. BSP is out of equation. So clearly, Samajwadi Party is the most legitimate leader in the minds of Uttar Pradesh, and Akhilesh Yadav ji is the most legitimate leader in the overall Hindi heartland, which Uttar Pradesh seems to represent. The final point is...
Can I just jump in? India Alliance is leading in Ayodhya. When I was on the ground in Ayodhya, this was a possibility. Ayodhya is, of course, where the Ram Mandir is. Ayodhya also has a very complex caste dynamics. And one of the things we reported is, despite this being the pilgrim town that is host to the Ram Mandir, the caste dynamics were such that the BJP could lose. And at the moment, the Election Commission of India, this could change, is reporting that the India Alliance is leading in the seat of Ayodhya. I'm just going to let Sadanand briefly... Yeah, sorry, Ghansham, you want to say something?
I just say one very simple point. This outcome in Uttar Pradesh is beyond the caste dynamic. This is as best a massive outrage against BJP as one can imagine, given the high-handedness of Yogi Adityanath. He himself has lost legitimacy. But between the battle of Amit Shah and Yogi Adityanath, Amit Shah is down and Yogi Adityanath can still survive with a straw.
Okay. No, I wasn't trying to reduce the entire UP story to caste dynamics. I was just making the point about Ayodhya in a limited context. Hang on, Karthikeya. Sadanand, complete your point. Yeah.
I mean, I think, look, it's 11:30 in the morning. and the BJP seems to be struggling to get beyond 240 seats.
Yeah.
That has got to, and it's trailing in Uttar Pradesh. It's doing badly in Maharashtra. In Bihar, it's actually JDU, which surprisingly seems to be the party that's doing well. Ironically, the NDA lost in 2004 because of many people say because of the poor performance in Andhra Pradesh and choice of allies. It may be Chandrababu Naidu who actually saves the day for them if they end up coming back to power. But I think at this point, we've been very cautious, rightly so. But it's at 11:30 in the morning, and you don't really see any evidence so far of the BJP able to, pull ahead or reverse, or change what have been pretty stable trends so far. So I really do think that this is an earthquake. There's no other way to describe this.
So this is an earthquake, says Sadanand. We've been very, very cautious, but now I think you're right. We can begin to categorically say that the BJP is falling clearly below the majority mark at this hour. The India Alliance is leading in Ayodhya. Dr. Baru makes the interesting point that if Modi revived the BJP in 2014, today he's been responsible for reviving the Congress. The BJP is falling short, not just of 270, it's at about 238 at the moment. Also, what has happened in Bengal is totally against the exit polls. The Mamata Banerjee's Trinamool Congress has comfortably surged ahead. Let me, as we rotate there, you can see the Bengal numbers. Let me bring in other reactions. Asif Bhamla of the BJP is with us, but Sriram Kari, do go ahead with your first thoughts.
Barkha, when you talk about what are the possibilities of government possibly to respond to both Dr. Sanjay Baru and your question, how to go about forming it. Actually, Dr. Baru answered the question himself in an interview with you when he spoke of the psychology of politicians. Please do not look at the government formation as what will BJP do and what will Congress do. Just see it like this. 4 leaders can put together 172. They can count on 100 by Congress. And the game is over. And those 4 will be Akhilesh, Mamata, Chandrababu, even, so various possibilities of Stalin, so on and so forth. So 4 big leaders talk to each other, get to 120, and they know 100 of Congress will vote for them against the BJP. It is possible. I don't think willingly, voluntarily, Mr. Modi will let anybody else become the prime minister from the BJP and have an NDA government. They will, knowing BJP, knowing Mr. Amit Shah, they will try everything to get new allies, try to pull people from here, there, everywhere. That's the effort that will go on from their side. The question was asked, what will be the number for BJP to say that BJP should not form the government? And the answer is very clear. 270. If they end up at 270, also the rest of the non-BJP would have a duty to try and form a government. And
you're saying if the BJP is the single largest party, but it's 268, you're saying that they will be stopped, or there will be an attempt to stop the NDA from forming the government?
I think you won't blame the opposition morally for trying to stop them, given how they have treated the opposition. But now they are falling well short. We are talking about 30 seats, but also it means that they have lost about 80 seats totally from last time. If you lose 1/3 of your mandate, when you were talking of increasing it by 25%, you talked of 400, NDA is below 300. If this is not a defeat, what is? You have to look at results in the context of expectation. That's how stock market treats you. Akhilesh Yadav, nobody is willing to give him 5, 7, 8 seats. Now he's the biggest winner in India today. People said Mamata will lose large number of seats. She is a winner today. So please do not, but I would like to ask all of you to think, and 60 seconds for this. There is something called karma in this country. I believe if you look at the history, every great leader has suffered. Mahatma Gandhi, after the independence, the victory, a triumph of independence, suffered partition. Nehru suffered China. Indira Gandhi, Vajpayee, Rajiv Gandhi, Jayalalitha, Karunanidhi, M.G. Ramachandran, Bal Thackeray, Mamata Banerjee, Y.S. Rajshekar Reddy, N.T. Ramarao, everybody suffered defeat. Mr. Modi was a man till last night who became a CM and then an MLA, became an MP and PM on the same day. He did not sit for 1 minute in opposition in his life. If he went on to win this time with an absolute majority, that would have been the only independent politician, only politician in independent India who wouldn't know what opposition means. I think karma wouldn't have let him off with such a good deal, better than what it gave anybody and everybody else. So I believe this is India being India, and India telling Modi, we are fine with a biologically born leader.
Be unmuted? Yeah, there I am. Sriram has made a pretty strong statement there, and I want reactions to it. I know Ghansham has to go, so Ghansham, I'm going to get a last comment from you, and Dr. Baru will then have to find his amusement from somebody else once you leave us. Ghansham already went. But okay, Dr. Baru, I want you to respond, and then I'll come to Asif Bhamla of the BJP to everything you've heard so far. Sriram Kari says that the BJP would have to fall below 272, which at the moment seems very possible, for the opposition to try and form the government. But if it's an NDA government, it's unlikely that there will be any different prime minister. What do you say, Dr. Baru?
Well, there are two outcomes which I can think of at the moment. One outcome is that NDA stays united, will have more than 272 numbers. They will back Prime Minister Modi and he forms the government. The second possibility is that there are some doubts within the NDA allies, whether it's Naidu or Nitish, and in the next 24 hours, the Congress tries to woo the, other parties. In the meanwhile, the president invites the leader of the single largest party to form a government. The Prime Minister Modi forms the government, and ED and CBI and everybody will go after Chandrababu Naidu and Nitish and keep them all in line, which is a political coup, right? And we should not rule out political coups. The other democracies in the country, there have been, even in the United States, Donald Trump tried to stage a political coup. So you could have a political coup if the president simply says, I'll invite the leader of the single largest party to form a government. And once in government, Prime Minister Modi will have all the institutions backing him to make sure that all the allies stay with him and NDA is in power. But on the other hand, if the president takes the view, which presidents in the past have taken the view, for example, Abdul Kalam took this view in 2004, when he said, I want a list of 272 before I invite anybody, right? And that is the list that Sonia Gandhi had to carry to Rashtrapati Bhavan. If that's the case, then the BJP will have to gather 272 numbers. And that is where the people like Naidu and Nitish become important. And that is where Sriram Kari's scenarios could work out. But I think, the final point I'd make, Barkha, is given these numbers, and if these numbers hold, it is an anti-Modi vote. It is. I mean, one cannot run away from the reality that this is a vote that rejects the platform of Modi ki guarantee. I mean, the whole manifesto was based on one man. And within the BJP, and that was the column I wrote, which you referred to in the beginning, within the BJP, there are any number of people. I mean, look at Rajnath Singh. He has withstood the wave of Samajwadi Party and the Congress in UP. He seems to be leading, he seems to be winning, and is a former president of the party. He's from UP. I mean, what if Rajnath Singh says, I'm going to form the government, and calls up Chandrababu Naidu and Nitish and everybody else and says, hang on there, it won't be Modi you'll be dealing with me. Anything is possible. I lived through the nights of, May 1991. I was on the street. Today I'm sitting at home, but I was on the street in 1991 when Narasimha Rao was forming the government and people were running between the homes of Arjun Singh and Sharad Pawar and Narasimha Rao. I was eyewitness to all the drama. I was eyewitness to drama in 96. I know Narasimha Rao was on the phone with Jayalalitha and with Chandrababu Naidu. I was eyewitness to that. I was eyewitness to what was happening in 2004. So we know that the next 24 hours are crucial to what happens. And we cannot underestimate the impact of this defeat on the psyche of several people within the BJP who have been, very quiet. I know at least one BJP MP, I don't know if he has won or not, I have not followed the day's news very closely, who told me 10 days back, he says, I think I'm going to win because we have spent so much money that I think I'm going to win. Now, he was not, he didn't say he was going to win because he was convinced that they had to win. He just said, we have spent so much money in my constituency that I think I'm going to win. I think there are a lot of people who are going to ask, was that
Yeah.
worth it?
Okay.
Dr.
Shriram has.
Babu,
Yeah.
Dr.
Shriram, go
Babu, I
ahead.
have a question for you.
Yeah.
I'm doing Barkha's job here just for a second. Nobody can match her, but Dr. Babu, if you were Rahul Gandhi, who's the first person you'll call?
Yeah. Oh, if I were Rahul Gandhi, I would not call anyone. I'd keep quiet and let others do the calling. But he would certainly, I would expect the Congress to reach out to every single leader. Mamta to begin with. The first person has to be Mamta because Stalin is already with them. And
Yeah.
Mamta was the one sitting on the wall. But I don't rule out both Chandrababu Naidu and Nitish Kumar joining a India-led alliance because I know what both of them felt when they were treated, terribly by Prime Minister Modi.
Let's explore what Sriram and Dr. Baru have laid out. The possibility that Prime Minister Modi will no longer be Prime Minister, even if it's an NDA government. I want reactions to this. Sadanand, Zafar Sareshwala, and Asif Bhamla. I'll start with you, Sadanand.
Yeah, so I'm skeptical of that, right? I'm skeptical. I mean, I take the point that Rajnath Singh has been a party president, and so had Gadkari. I also get the point that in many ways these populist leaders who are larger than life, they make politics a very kind of unhappy profession for everybody else, right? Because they shine so brightly and they don't really, there's that famous scene, remember, from a while back, where people were trying to put this big massive garland, and Rajnath Singh was there, and it looked like the garland was going to be both on Modi and Rajnath, but then Rajnath had to kind of move out because the garland was not meant for him. So there is the sort of it has to be kind of not just in India but anywhere, right? It's got to be a little bit soul crushing to be in politics, but to be forever in the shadows. um However, I think that the reality of the BJP and the BJP's supporters, who eventually who are matter, is that they do see Modi as their guy. I'm not saying that the country as a whole has necessarily voted for him, but for this scenario to occur, where there'll be a non-Modi BJP government, you'd have to have some kind of revolt among BJP supporters, and I don't know if that's there. That's my first point. The second is that, to Dr. Baru's point about, who the president would call, I'd say, one very big difference between now and 2004 is that you do, at least if the current numbers hold, you do have a pre-poll alliance with a clear majority, right? So it seems kind of like you'd have to get into sort of, pretty elaborate permutations to provided this pre-poll alliance holds. I still think that the most likely outcome, and anything is possible, but I'd say that the most likely outcome at this hour with the NDA at 292 is that Modi comes back with as the head of a weakened coalition government in which Chandrababu Naidu and Nitish Kumar have way more clout than they could have imagined possible not so long ago.
Yeah, there. So let me open this up. Zafar Sareshwala, you've known the BJP and Narendra Modi for a long time. Do you think there's a possibility? Dhume is skeptical, Sadanand Dhume is skeptical, Dr. Baru and Sriram Kari not so much. Do you think that there is a possibility that those in the BJP who do not like the Prime Minister and whom he has not liked, Nitin Gadkari, Rajnath Singh, even a Yogi Adityanath, can there be a realignment within the BJP? This is the main political question now.
Barkha, as far as BJP is concerned, and what I know of BJP, I don't think if suppose and this would be a scenario, the president of India will invite the largest party, and if BJP is the largest party, they will be invited. And I don't think a scenario where if BJP is invited and NDA forms the government, then there would be anybody other than Mr. Modi. Because the power which he wields within the BJP is unmatched. No political party leader has that power in their party what Mr. Modi has. But I've got some other point also. Why we see this result today? BJP coming down to this. Barkha, I have traveled extensively in UP, which is called the cow belt or religious extremism. It was all seen on TV and on social media. On ground, Barkha, I did not see the kind of hatred which was emanated or which was shown on television and social media within the people. Even in Ayodhya, you were mentioning Ayodhya. In Ayodhya, I did this Talimo Tarbiyat program when this was in the heat of BJP. The kind of togetherness which I saw in spite of Ram Mandir being made. This was just before Ram Mandir was going to be inaugurated. Within the people, there was bonhomie. So that I did not see across the country in spite of all this happening. So the people of India, and I always believe that India is secular because very large section of Hindus in the country are secular.
All
And
this is
that is the
all.
reflection.
I have been saying throughout this campaign that there was no interest in Ram Mandir as an election issue, no interest in Hindu-Muslim issues. My question to you is: do you think Narendra Modi will be ousted or sidelined by his own party, as Sriram and Dr. Baru think, or do you agree with Sadanand that it's unlikely to happen if it's an NDA government?
Yeah, I believe this, that if NDA government, I don't think there would be anybody other than Prime Minister Modi. I want to add one more thing regarding Maharashtra. Because I
Yes.
live in Mumbai, I was traveling across. I could see
Yes.
when there was split in Shiv Sena and split in NCP. Even then, the NCP voters, they were aligning with Sharad Pawar. They thought that Pawar Sahab hi asal hai. Same thing with Shiv Sena, although the government was Shinde. But the Shiv Sainiks on ground were aligned with Uddhav Thackeray. And one more thing, Muslims, this was, I couldn't understand. The Muslims were more aligned with Shiv Sena than with BJP. So that was also one scenario which I saw even in Maharashtra and in Mumbai.
Okay, but
And that is the reflection.
you do believe that if it's the NDA that forms the government, it will still be Modi, a weakened Modi as Prime Minister. Asif Bhamla of the BJP, disappointed? Completely different from what the exit polls had suggested. Can we have the national numbers on the screen, please? Yes, Mr. Bhamla, do go ahead.
Of course, it's not as per the expectations of the exit polls, which we were very much looking at, and we would have been very happy if they would have been the reality. But it's okay; it's election. But the good thing is that at least the ecosystem of AVM that has been emerging on election after election, and the kind of fatwa that the opposition had come out with since last night, that if you find any ways that we are going below the numbers, or if there's any problem, then we should all, like a Capitol Hill situation should be created. That was where is that narrative gone of the opposition? Haven't they fallen flat? What message have they given to the administration, to the people who have been working day in and day out, the officers, the election officers, election machinery, who have selflessly worked with all the stress and the pain to ensure that this democratic values of this country have been retained? What about this? What about this? I can't see any of them speaking about that. What would have been the situation if the outcome would have been
okay. That's a fair question. Yeah,
I'm not got a fair time. Please compare to others.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, like Zafar Bhai also mentioned, as a single largest party, we still and obviously do have a Narendra Modi there, and he will definitely be invited by the President of India, which is the normal practice. And certainly we will form a government, of course. And once the government is formed, things will be in place, because you saw in this changing scenario, Nifty has fallen down, the stock exchange has fallen down. This is a clear narrative that not only in India, but even in the world, they want a stable government, unlike a government which has 1 year one leader, second year a second leader, and third year, and this is all going to be a rigmarole. So the country still has faith. It's not far. Of course, it has been an incumbency. There have been shortcomings, and in spite of that, still, if we are pulling out this much, I don't think it's bad. And as far as Maharashtra is concerned, also, I'm sure things will get better, and the scenario would change in years and times to come, and you shall witness that too.
Okay. You do raise a fair question about, what happens to the EVM skeptics now, given this result. And I think
I want to hear the EVM skeptics. Let them speak about it.
Okay.
I want to add one thing.
Yes, Zafar Bhai. Yes.
See, Mr. Modi is known to change tactics. He's a very smart politician. In fact, I remember during 2014 also, there were a murmur that BJP ki 272 nahi aayegi. एक बात चल रही थी तब भी. So
जी.
I asked Mr. Modi then कि लोग बोलते हैं कि भाई अगर आपकी नहीं आएगी तो क्या होगा. तो मोदी साहब ने मुझे बताया कि मेरे सबके साथ कैसे कैसे ताल्लुकात हैं. So Mr. Modi is known to change. जब बदलता है तो you have seen from हृदय हिंदू हृदय सम्राट to man for development and then strong and then so he can change. अगर मोदी साहब को लगा जरूरत पड़ी तो he can bring anybody. वो उनके अंदर एक चीज है कि जो किसी को भी बुला सकते हैं. एंड वन थिंग इज देयर फॉर श्योर व्हिच आई एम रिपीटिंग अगेन कि 2004 the prime minister the president of India invited Congress party which had only 145 seats.
But
So if BJP is the largest, then they will
yes.
invite BJP, and if BJP is invited, I don't think any scenario where anybody would be the prime minister other than the
so two very differing narratives over what happens next. I think it's safe to now say that unless something dramatically changes in the next hour, the BJP is short of the majority mark, right? It has hovered around 238 to 240 seats now for the next for the last half an hour. In about 5 minutes we'll have an update from Kartikeya as well. We'll have all of those numbers updated. Amit Shah is leading in Gandhinagar. Rajiv Chandrasekhar, this is going to be an upset if it holds for Shashi Tharoor in Trivandrum. Rahul Gandhi is leading Rai Bareli, and Kishori Lal Sharma of the India Alliance is leading Amethi by 32,000 votes at this point, ahead of Smriti Irani. So I think there's going to be a lot of revisiting of political analysis, not just of exit polls, because so many people thought that it was a mistake that the Congress party had made in not contesting the Amethi seat directly. I also want to welcome Mayank Sinha of the JDU. Namaskar, Mayank ji. Agar aapko meri awaaz aa rahi hai, please confirm. Mayank ji. I'm not sure Mayank ji can hear us, but Sriram Kari, you were wanting to come in. Do go ahead.
Well, I'll repeat what I said. I agreed with Dr. Baru's analysis with you in an interview a few days ago that primarily people are in politics for the reason they want power. And one thing no politician has got in the Modi, Amit Shah era has been real power. Those within the BJP, those outside. I believe it's impossible for anybody from within BJP to oust Mr. Modi. He's too big, and I think these numbers are not of any consequence to the internal power dynamics of the BJP.
Why do you say that? Why do you say that?
Well, you can't, you can, like he spoke of the changing tactics, but you can't become God to man to weak man within 48 hours. It doesn't work. There's who will bell the cat. The first person who speaks, the whole lynch mob will be unleashed. So don't think that's happening. What will happen and can happen is this. Every non-BJP MP, see, end of the day, it's down to 543 people. Every non-BJP MP will ask, do I want a strong prime minister or a human prime minister? Let's put it that way, as the not a strong versus weak. And I think they'll all non-BJP MPs would prefer a government where they can access the prime minister, get something for the states. That's what Chandrababu Naidu would like. That is what Mr. Stalin would like. That's what Mamta would like. That's what even Nitish would like. To be back in the...
So Sriram, do you believe it's likely that Chandrababu Naidu will switch sides? Or do you believe the context may not arise?
It is very hard to decide who's a more unreliable partner for Mr. Modi, Nitish or Naidu. They will compete who will jump first. And I'll say this, even Mr. Shinde may be back in the India Alliance, continuing to be CM for a while, but the 10 MPs go to India. Don't rule it out. That does the numbers.
Mayank Sinha ji, namaskar. आपको मेरी आवाज आ रही है? आवाज आ रही है? सर, आपकी आवाज मुझे नहीं आ रही. आवाज आ रही है सर?
आवाज आ रही है आवाज.
आप ही के नेता की बात हो रही थी, नीतीश जी की. कैसे देखते हैं जो बिहार के रिजल्ट्स आए हैं? कैन आई हैव द बिहार स्लाइड ऑन द स्क्रीन प्लीज? बात चर्चा में ये है कि नीतीश जी जो पहले दूसरी तरफ थे, फिर इस तरफ आ गए, क्या वो दोबारा पलट मार सकते हैं? आप बिहार की जो नतीजे अभी तक बिहार की जो नतीजे आए हैं उनको किस नजरिए से देखते हैं मयंक जी?
We are very good in position, and we are right now very good position, and still we are winning or leading
32 more seats in the state of the Bihar. So after the couple of hours, we are going to be 140 out of 40 seats in the state of Bihar. तो नीतीश कुमार जी का काम बोलता है, और उन्होंने जो काम किया है, आप देखिए कि हम 16 सीट लड़े हैं और 15 सीट पर हम आगे चल रहे हैं। तो और बीजेपी भी आगे चल रही है, बहुत सारे सीटों पे, 12 सीटों पे बीजेपी आगे चल रही है। तो हम लोग 40 में 40 सीटें जीतेंगे। अभी तो रुझान है, वो परिणाम में बदलेंगे और परिणाम हमारे पक्ष में आएगा, क्योंकि बिहार की जनता माननीय नीतीश कुमार जी को और माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी मोदी जी को एकदम बिल्कुल प्यार करती है और उन पर भरोसा करती है, देश हित के लिए, बिहार के हित के लिए, राष्ट्र के हितों के लिए।
पर मयंक जी, आपने कहा, आपकी बात ठीक है, that the BJP and the alliance has done well in Bihar, लेकिन हम नेशनल पॉलिटिक्स की बात कर रहे हैं, और नेशनल पॉलिटिक्स में ये बार बार बताया जाता है कि कैसे तेजस्वी जी ने कैंपेन में नीतीश जी को पर्सनली अटैक नहीं किया। नीतीश जी कन्वीनर बनने वाले थे इंडिया अलायंस के। अगर इंडिया अलायंस दोबारा उनको रीच आउट करती है, सपोज इंडिया अलायंस नेता दोबारा उनको रीच आउट करते हैं, फिर
नहीं, ऐसा कुछ बात ही नहीं है। हम रीच आउट क्यों करना है? हम तो एनडीए के साथ बिल्कुल इंटैक्ट है, कहीं कोई सवाल ही नहीं है ये सब। और ये सब तो पूछना भी नहीं चाहिए, ये सब तो पूछना भी गुनाह है। अभी
गुनाह है,
बिल्कुल हम, हाँ बिल्कुल
गुनाह। आप इतने बारी साइड बदल गए, मैं तो पूछूंगी ना, गुनाह कहाँ से हुआ सर?
कहीं फ्लिप नहीं होगा, कहीं फ्लिप नहीं होगा। हम लोग बिल्कुल इंटैक्ट है एनडीए के साथ। और अभी तो सरकार हम लोग बना रहे हैं, थर्ड टाइम 3-0 रिटर्न हो रहा है, ठीक है। बीजेपी सबसे बड़ी पार्टी है आज के डेट में, और उन्होंने करीब 245 सीट पे अभी वो लीड कर रहे हैं। तो अभी आने दीजिए, रुझान परिणाम में बदलेंगे और बीजेपी 300 से ज्यादा सीटें जीत के आएंगी। तो अभी सब चीज होगा। अभी आप कपल ऑफ आवर्स वेट कीजिए और फैसले जो है हमारे पक्ष में आएंगे। बरखा जी, आप तो जानती है, बिहार को बहुत अच्छे से समझती हैं कि बिहार जो है,
मैं तो कह रही हूँ आपके पक्ष में ही है। मैं तो नेशनल पॉलिटिक्स के बारे में पूछ। हाँ जी आसिफ जी।
नेशनल पॉलिटिक्स में मोदी जी का जलवा बरकरार है, और मोदी जी फिर से 300 प्लस सीटें जीत के हम लोग आ रहे हैं। और देखिए
सर एक मिनट मयंक जी, आपने कहा 300। मिस्टर भावना, 1 minute, let me ask a question. Meanwhile, Omar Abdullah is trailing in Baramulla in a fight against Sajad Lone. We're trying to keep track of all the individual key candidates also. मयंक जी, आपने कहा मोदी जी का जलवा बरकरार है, लेकिन इस समय बीजेपी मेजॉरिटी मार्क से कम पे है, 240 से भी कम पे है। ठीक कैसे हो जाएगा?
वही तो मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि अभी तो खुलेगी, जितनी भी मतगणना है वो खुलेगी। तो अभी तो फर्स्ट राउंड या सेकंड राउंड का कंप्लीट हुआ है, तो अभी तो बहुत सारे राउंड है। और हम लोग जो है कि एकदम बिल्कुल आप देखिएगा कि आगे बढ़ेंगे। और इतना इंडी गठबंधन को खुश होने का नहीं जरूरत है, घमंडी गठबंधन को। कांग्रेस जो है कह रही थी कि हम अपने दम पर 200 से ज्यादा सीटें लाएंगे, अभी तो 95-97 के ऊपर है, और इनका घर घटेगा, 50-55 पर ही आ जाएंगे। अभी इतना उत्साहित होने की जरूरत नहीं है, और वही बेनिफिट हम लोगों को मिलेगा, और वही बीजेपी को गेन होगा। इतना नहीं है। अब देखिए, आप ट्रेंड कर रहे हैं, जेडीयू 15 सीट जीत रही है, और 16 सीट पे हम चुनाव लड़े थे, 15 सीट है, और 16 की 16 सीटों जीतेंगे हम। अभी तो रुकिए, अभी आप इंतजार कीजिए, और इंतजार का परिणाम बहुत अच्छा होता है बरखा जी। और माननीय नेता ने हमारे इतना काम किया बिहार के लिए, बिहार को एकदम बिल्कुल बीमारू राज्य खड़ा करने का काम किया है। तो हमारे वोटर जो है, हमारे नेता को पसंद करते हैं। हमारे महिला वोटर जो है, 100% महिला वोटर नीतीश कुमार जी को वोट देने का काम किया।
Can I request all of you now? Just speak 1 minute, Mr. Bhamla. 1 minute. Could we have the graphics where you did the individual parties, breakups of both alliances on our screen? It would be really useful to look at them now, if we can take them on the screen. Shahid Siddiqui is with us. Welcome to the program. Mr. Bhamla, just give me a second. I want Karthik to just take us through the individual party breakup of both alliances, where the leads stand now. Could I have those graphics? Even if you have to go full frame, go full frame. Karthik will talk over them. Go ahead, Karthik.
Barkha, so the thing is that this is from ECI, right? So of course there'll be some lag. That's the caveat.
This is India Alliance. Go ahead.
Very ironic that we have painted them saffron, right?
So, yeah, that's true. Yes.
So of course, I told you the India Alliance Congress is touching that 100 mark, and between the data submission and the creation, the Congress is now touching that 100 mark. It's roughly 99, if I'm not wrong. So that is what's happening on that front, followed by SP 33, Trinamool roughly 30 now, DMK 21. Maharashtra, all three partners have done really well for the India Alliance, Barkha. I must tell you, Barkha, and I've given one more graphic, but I'm just so tempted to say it out right now, that Congress last time had one state where they were in double digits. This time around, that has moved to 4. It could be 5 as well. Kerala, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Rajasthan. Barkha, can you believe the Congress is at 8 seats in Uttar Pradesh? This is huge for the Congress. I mean, from all parts of the country, good news is coming in for the Congress. So this is the India Alliance breakup. But if we then move to the NDA breakup, there is not much to be said that, except that the BJP, of course, is dominating. And there, if you see...
can we switch to the NDA? Yeah, go ahead, Karthik.
Of the roughly 290 seats that we have, or 280 something, BJP 238 to 240. Again, I'm making this sort of, malleable because numbers are changing. JDU 15, TDP 16. Those are the only two allies in double digits. Whereas for the India Alliance, Congress almost 100. And there are as many as 4 allies in double digits. After TDP, you have Shiv Sena and LJP with 5 each and JDS with 3. And then you have Ajit Pawar's NCP doing horribly. Just 1, PMK 1, AGP 1, UPPL 1. Essentially, these results, Barkha, mean that there'll be a lot of political reconfiguration in states like Bihar and Maharashtra. I don't see how the Ajit Pawar faction will now survive if this performance is maintained. I don't know what will happen to the 2 Shiv Senas. I think Sriram was talking about it. So this is very fascinating. The other thing I wanted to bring to your notice, Barkha, was the vote share swing. Okay.
Yeah.
Congress is at 26%. That is a jump of 6 percentage points. No exit poll did that. All exit polls said that there'll be a jump of 2 percentage point, 3 percentage point. But the Congress has jumped from 19% to roughly 26% is the big story of this election. The Congress, when it won in 2009, was in the late 20s. So that means that the Congress has made a huge jump. The BJP has also gained from 37.36 to 39.33. That's a swing of 2 percentage points. But keep in mind, Barkha, the Congress was fighting fewer seats this time, which means that effectively the Congress has...
Their strike rate is better.
Even the number. So that means they have a larger vote share from smaller number of seats. That is really interesting. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. So Karthik, thanks for that big picture. I'm going to request you to hop off and get us some more, mine that data for some more sort of details. It would be fascinating to see the state-wise individual breakup of seats as well, particularly in Uttar Pradesh, which you just mentioned. Could we keep these graphics on the NDA and the India Alliance? So good afternoon. If you've just joined us, the BJP is below 272. The NDA is below 300. Could this still change? We don't know, but these numbers have now held for almost the last hour. They haven't really dramatically changed. Questions are being asked as to whether the NDA will form the government. If it's an NDA government, will the Prime Minister Modi be the Prime Minister, or will the BJP possibly realign and within, as well as from allies, and choose a new leader? Sanjay Baru, Sriram Kari made the point that could happen. Others say it's not likely. I want to welcome Pawan Verma, Tavleen Singh, Shahid Siddiqui, Shashi Vempati to the show. Sanjay Baru and Sadanand Dhume are still with us. Tavleen, I'll start with you. Every exit poll was wrong. Yogendra Yadav was right. That's what it looks like at the moment. The BJP is below majority by itself. The NDA is currently short of the 300 mark. Your first thought?
For a start, the exit polls being wrong is quite a shock to me, because they've been very much more scientific in recent years than they used to be. And, they really need to re-examine how that happened. But I want to add here that I do not believe for one moment that they were done in the BJP office, and, that charge that the media is so compromised that the exit polls were done by the BJP. This I do not believe. But for me, what has pleased me the most about the results today is that democracy is won. So the charge that
absolutely
that the India Alliance, and particularly Rahul Gandhi, has been making over and over again, that there's no democracy left in India. clearly democracy has won. The other, just two thoughts of that I wanted to share. One, I think that the Hindu-Muslim, thing that Modi was trying to sell has not worked. And that is, nothing better could have happened for India than that. All the things that he thought were going to polarize the electorate have failed. Nothing better could have happened. Article 370 failed. The Ram Mandir, people just go there and worship, but it's just another temple now. So, these are really good things as far as I'm concerned. And it was time that we had a strong opposition, whoever it might be.
Okay, so democracy has won, and that is something that for the opposition to reflect on, that since last night there was talk about EVMs and rigging and malpractice, but the opposition has done so well, so much better than the projections of the exit polls, that how can they still make that argument? Yes, Mr. Bhamla, but I want to bring in Pavan Verma. Pavan, are you surprised when we were talking 2 days earlier, you believe that Prashant Kishore's theory of a weakened Modi but a BJP back with the same, if not more seats, was going to hold true. Mr. Kishore, as it turns out, going by these numbers, was not correct. He may have been correct on the weakened Modi, but not on the numbers. And we are now looking at a situation where the NDA is below 300. Forget the BJP. The NDA is below 300. The BJP is below majority. Pavan.
Elections cannot be predicted infallibly. What I think went against the BJP were 6 reasons. First, the Mandir issue had peaked, and I don't think it had an impact on the voters. Secondly, the constantly shrill Hindu-Muslim rhetoric had begun to be counterproductive for the BJP. Thirdly, I think that the BJP itself had been marginalized in this election. Even the manifesto was called Modi Ki Guarantee. And I think that had an impact on the enthusiasm of both the BJP and the RSS cadres. Fourthly, the BJP had admitted as many as 106 people from outside its fold and given most of them tickets. Now the impact on the RSS worker or the worker on the ground who has toiled for 30-40 years faithfully for the party, to see an outsider suddenly coming in and getting a ticket, I think has demoralized the cadre on the ground. Fifthly, I think the vendetta politics, which were transparently vendetta oriented, began to create, especially among regional parties who have done much better, and nationally, a sense that this is not either democracy or a level playing field. And lastly, in fact, second lastly, I think the tone of Mr. Modi's speeches towards the end were not in keeping with his stature as PM, and it alienated many of those who were his supporters as well. And lastly, I think there were very strong, legitimate grievances on the ground, which the BJP thought it could finesse with this kind of polarized politics. Now, there were things in BJP's favor, like the rations, or if not Modi, who? But unemployment, price rise, rural distress, and inequality. The inability of the BJP to, in a way, bridge the gulf between the stock exchange and the common man's conditions. That, I think, is responsible for what seems to be a surprising mandate. UP is the biggest surprise. West Bengal, and I don't know what the role of Yogi Adityanath in this is, because Amit Shah never campaigned in UP. And whether there are some interests, vested interests in seeing that the BJP gets a little jolt and reduces its current.
So you're basically suggesting that Modi may have been sabotaged from within the BJP.
No, certainly, because look at the number of stalwarts in the BJP who have been sidelined. Entire cabinets have been dismissed overnight. It was a 1.5-man rule, and the BJP has always been, for whatever is wrong with its essential core philosophy, a kind of a collegium. It was not a dynasty. It was not a one-person rule. So, in my view, that and West Bengal. The other two big surprises, and that, of course, we had anticipated, is Odisha and I think this Karnataka.
Yeah. So Bengal, I mean, if we had to say, you know, these are the sort of big winners of the day, we'll get to that. But certainly Mamata Banerjee and Akhilesh Yadav would be on top of that list. Pawan, very quickly, because I know we have you only for a few more minutes, and then I want to go to Shahid and everybody else. There has been talk about whether the NDA will form the government. If the NDA forms the government, will it be Prime Minister Modi who will be Prime Minister again? Could it be somebody else? Since you have alluded to, did Yogi Adityanath really want Modi to surge ahead? Did Nitin Gadkari really want Modi to surge ahead? What do you think?
No, in my view, we need to wait for another 2 hours to see if the BJP inches closer to the majority mark on its own or goes down further. If it's a coalition government, which as the largest single faction, the NDA appears to be heading towards, in my view, it will be a government which will be forced to be less authoritarian, certainly more democratic, certainly less unilateral, and certainly it's a victory for democracy. Because this kind of preponderance of just one party was not doing good for the country.
Let me bring in Shashi Vempati, former CEO of Prasar Bharati. Shashi, one of the things we heard as we traveled was people were not angry with Modi, but किसी ने कहा आक्रोश नहीं अंकुश, meaning no rage, but the need to contain unbridled power, need to restrain, not necessarily oust, but restrain. Is that how you see the verdict? That the BJP has been brought down a few notches?
Clearly, it's not 400 par. I think that is obvious.
But is it even 300? Is it even 300 par? We don't know yet.
Yeah, we don't know yet. I think there's a time for all of this analysis, which I think the previous speaker and you have been alluding to. That will be tomorrow. Once we know, exactly how every region has voted. If I look at the vote shares as of now, the BJP has increased its vote share. You look at vote share in states like UP, it has pretty much held on to it. Right. So what you're seeing here is very, very localized contests which have flipped one way or the other. And when I'm looking at the number of seats which still within that 10K, 5K margin, there's a sizable number of seats. So we have to wait and see how the final numbers stack up. Perhaps the biggest surprise or disappointment or whatever you want to call it would be Bengal, where there was a lot of hopes that they would pick up a lot of seats, which didn't happen in Bengal. I think that would be the only big factor. Of course, Maharashtra, where clearly the manner in which the different parties split there has not helped the BJP as much as they thought it would help. So I think Maharashtra and Bengal are clearly two question marks on strategy. UP will wait and see how these close contests turn out. But then look at the rest of the country, right? You have held on to your ground. You picked up new states like Odisha. You've done exceedingly well in Telangana. You've held ground in Karnataka. You're probably opening your score in Kerala. So I don't think that we can draw all these sweeping conclusions about whether in my mind it's pretty much clear that it will be an NDA.
Okay, Shashi, we lost you there, but I'm able to tell that Shashi, your connection is bunching up, but I'm able to tell that your last comment is, in my mind, it will be an NDA government. We have the vote share. Yeah, Pawan. Yeah, Pawan. What did you say? Yeah, one last
extent.
Yes. One second, Shashi. Your connection isn't working. Pawan, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I think that if these numbers hold, and if the BJP on its own is short of majority, which we have to see, there will be considerable churning within the BJP, and we have to see where that goes.
Yes, so I think that's what everybody is talking about. What happens now within the BJP? Because at the moment, the NDA is in 289 seats to India alliances. Oh, it's become 286 and 235 as I am speaking. The vote shares are on your screen. The Congress, we should talk about the Congress. The Congress has almost doubled its seats, and UP has been the big story. Shahid Siddiqui, go ahead. Can we unmute Shahid, please?
UP,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, UP is not a surprise for me. I expected at least 40 seats in UP, and we are doing better. For me, what is surprising is Bihar and Odisha. Bihar, we expected more seats for India Alliance, but let me tell you that this has happened despite the efforts of BJP to break the parties in Maharashtra, to put chief ministers behind bar, to send ED, CBI, everything. They have thrown everything against the opposition. And despite that, despite the fact that the opposition did not have the resources, did not have the media behind them, despite all the shortcomings, they were able to perform as they have done. It's a victory for the people of this country. It was not India Alliance which was fighting. It was not even Samajwadi Party which has defeated, which has done so well in UP or doing so well in UP. It is the people of this country, because the people of this country are ultimately democratic. Ultimately, they are inclusive. They dislike any politics which tries to exclude any community or any group beyond a point. To some extent, we are all communal, but beyond a point, you do not allow that kind of communalism to take over the whole system. And that's where I think Indian people have won. I agree with the Tavleen that democracy has won. Yes, democracy has won. Democracy would have won. Democracy has won because the people who were thinking of becoming totally autocratic with 400 seats, they have been defeated. Democracy has won because those who thought they will be able to go roughshod over the constitution and the democratic system, they have been defeated. Whatever the ultimate results, the BJP may be able to get majority on its own or without, or with the support of its allies, but the fact remains that it's a victory for the idea of India, in which we have always believed, and the people of this country have believed. I think that's a very positive thing which has happened, and we must all appreciate the people. And the point that there have not been any wrongdoing in the system, there has been. We have got so many reports, but despite that, when the people decide, then despite all the efforts to hijack the elections, they fail, because when the people go one way, then they go whole hog, they go very strongly. And if the India Alliance had been done it earlier, had more resources, then definitely we would have been able to form the government on our own. But I don't see that happening now. But despite that, I think there's a great change and great thing for the country and for the people of this country. And especially, as Tavleen said, that it is a defeat for this Hindu-Muslim narrative. This Hindu-Muslim narrative people do not appreciate, and that has been defeated. And I think that's a very, very positive sign, and BJP should learn from that. And I hope that there will be changes. And I don't see Modi not becoming the prime minister again. I don't see much churning in BJP, because BJP 1.5% has total hold over the party, and nobody will be able to stand up to them with the whole system behind them. So if there is a churning, then it will be a very, very huge, difficult thing. Churning has to come from outside, not from within the BJP.
The churning has to come from the outside, but it could come, because the point is that what will Chandrababu Naidu do? What will Nitish Kumar do? It all depends on the final figures. At the moment, the NDA... Aapko meri awaaz nahi aa rahi, Shahid? Okay, we'll reconnect you. I could hear you just fine. We'll get you reconnected if we can do that, please. I was just saying that the churning depends on the final numbers, and at the moment the gap has narrowed once again. It's a 20-seat gap, or less than a 20-seat gap, between the NDA alliance and the India alliance. Let me just get Shashi, because he was trying to make a point, and then I'll come to everybody else. Shashi, sorry, you bunched up the last time. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. What I was saying was that in my mind, there is no doubt that it will be an NDA government, and Mr. Modi will be the prime minister. With what mandate will he form this government? I think that let's wait for the final numbers. Let's see what the final tally is like.
Yeah.
These sweeping conclusions, I don't think hold, because it can't be that, one part of the country has overwhelmingly voted for the BJP and the other part has, there have been close contests. So what we need to look at is the specific regions where the contests have been tight, what has happened in Bengal, what has happened in Maharashtra, and the close seats of UP. I think that is really where this election is really panning out. I mean, look at Odisha. They've picked up the state. They've done well in Telangana, beating the Congress just a few months after a state election, right? So you can't make these sweeping judgments on, what this mandate means. I think what this mandate means will be clear only, once the final numbers are in.
But Shashi, we can say the Sensex has dropped by 5,600 points, but we can say that it is nowhere close to what the BJP was hoping for. Wherever it ends, finally, this is not, and I'm not talking about 400 par. I am saying the BJP may not do 300 par on its own. At the moment, the NDA may not cross 300 on its own. So it is very far from anything the BJP even privately expected to do. Would you concede that?
Yes, it is definitely not a comfortable mandate that you were going in this morning. It is going to be a mandate that will be close to what the halfway mark is, which is probably where things will end at, somewhere between 270 and 300. And then let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. It's still 271 for the NDA. Tavleen, you were wanting to come in. Tavleen, go ahead.
Point. I've covered many elections since 1977. And the one thing that I have noticed is that the ordinary voter detests autocrats. Indira Gandhi may be very popular with the middle classes for having created Bangladesh, etc. But Indira Gandhi was defeated within, she had to declare an emergency within 3 years of that massive election, right? And I think that Modi putting himself as the candidate, literally, for every seat in the country, I don't think that went down well. Because, where I traveled, they would say, हाँ जी, Modi आए तो जाएंगे, लेकिन हमारा जो है, ये minister ने बिल्कुल काम नहीं किया, वापस नहीं आया. So I think that this turned into a referendum on Modi. And I think that the BJP strategy to use him as their raison d'etre, if you will, to win again, I don't think that has worked.
Sanjay Baru, Tavleen, said earlier on this program that the verdict is a vote of no confidence against Modi. Is that how you see it?
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but I certainly think that it was a mistaken strategy to use him as the raison d'etre, as the reason to vote BJP. And they went on, Modi, Hamesha 2029 maybe Modi aayenge and all that. I think that went down very badly because, people really believe that when they vote, they are the boss. And autocracy in India, thank God for that. Thank God for that. That even semi-literate voters know that when someone's getting too big for their boots, you bring them down. And I think that the Modi had been sold too heavily by the BJP, and that was a bad strategy.
Okay, let me get reactions from everybody else. We have Ram Reddy of the Congress joining us, Nilanjan Sarkar. I know Sadanand, you want to come in. Banu is with us. Go ahead, Sadanand.
Or, Shashi, which is that, I guess his, let's say that this settles at 250 or 260. Then I think, it's pretty obvious here that Modi's coming back. It's somewhat weakened and perhaps chastened Modi, supported principally by JDU and TDP coming back to power. But it's also possible that, over the next few hours, this moves 20 seats in the other direction, right? You could, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you could see a situation where, the BJP ends up at 220 seats. I guess my question is, what do things look like then? Because then I think, I agree with you that if the BJP gets 260, has done well in Orissa, has won seats elsewhere, you can say, okay, look, it wasn't the mandate they expected, but it's still a reasonable mandate and they're clearly way ahead of everyone else. But if they end up at 220, I think it's a very different ball game. And I think then you have a sort of, questions that get raised, which is that, is it appropriate for a party that loses so many seats to then stake a claim to form a government, right? So I'm just wondering where that number is. Obviously, it's not at 240. Is it at 220? Is it at 200? But that number does exist, and there's a precedent for that in Indian politics, right? Congress emerging as single largest party in 1989, not staking a claim to form a government. Congress again being the single largest party in 1996, but being seen as having lost the mandate and not staking a claim to form the government. So I guess what I'm looking at is, sure, in a likely case scenario, yes, I agree with Shashi coming back. But there is a worst case scenario from a BJP perspective that we have to keep our minds open to. It's possible at this point.
Yeah. I think it's a very fair question. Shashi, brief response if you will, because lots of people are waiting.
Yeah, sure. Shashi. I think the key difference here is that it is a pre-poll alliance, and the pre-poll alliance, if it gets past 272, they have the mandate. So I don't think there's any doubt there that they won't form the government in that scenario. Question is, what are the final numbers? How close are they to 272 and beyond? My guess is it'll probably be somewhere between 290 and 300.
For the NDA. For the NDA, right, Shashi?
Yes.
For the NDA. All right, let's get responses from the others. Ram, sorry, Banu, give me a second. I'll come to you. Ram, I know you're in a moving car, so let me get you while I can. Go ahead. First thoughts. Can we move to Telangana, where Ram is from? And I want to look at Telangana also closely. Go ahead, Ram.
Yeah, Barkha, people now clearly see the difference between the hype and the reality. And now people realize that Modi is not as strong as it was portrayed in all the media till today morning. Uh, After seeing these results, if you just see the results of Telangana also, we are leading with one seat. Today we are at 9 and BJP is at 7 and BRS is
we'll
0.
update that. Yeah.
So, but the thing is, both BJP and BRS have come together and contested these elections. Everybody are aware of it in the entire state, because all the BRS leaders were openly saying to vote in favor of BJP. There were several recordings, hundreds of video recordings of BRS leaders saying that. So keeping this in mind, now it is the coalition of BJP and BRS in Telangana. All the mixed strength, all the together strength is coming to a tune of like 7 seats. But when it comes to Congress seats, we are 9, and there is a fluctuation of 1 seat. That is Medak, where it is between BRS and Congress party.
Okay. So that's the Telangana picture. Nilanjan, what does the national picture look to you like? I think Sadanand raised an interesting question. What is that number at which you say the NDA won't form the government? The BJP is clearly going to be the single largest party, but on the other side, you do have a pre-poll alliance. I know in your own writings, you wrote about the constitution successfully entering the political lexicon because a number of Dalits in particular saw it as directly linked to their reservation rights protected and guaranteed to them by the Indian constitution. The BJP's more rabble-rousing parliamentarians definitely scored an own goal by actually saying ki 400 par chahiye so we can change the constitution. The big national picture to you, who are the big winners, who are the big losers today so far?
So I think there were two stories that were happening side by side, right? So when the exit polls predicted these sort of very, huge margins of victory for the BJP and the NDA, what they saw was that despite the dissension on things like the constitution, on joblessness, that somehow the BJP wouldn't lose too many seats in the north. In the vernacular states, so South India, West Bengal, so on and so forth, the claim was that the BJP would break in a big way. Part of the reason why you're seeing the numbers that you're seeing today is that neither of those two things came to pass, right? Which is to say that when there was dissension in the ranks in North India, in fact, the BJP did lose some vote share, especially in places like UP and Rajasthan. And despite every single poll, and we took this personally because I am Bengali, that somehow said that BJP would win 30 seats in the state, all of us who had been there said it looked to us like the opposite. And indeed, that is what happened, right? And so I think there's if the expectation was that the BJP was going to break into the vernacular states and the BJP wasn't going to take a hit in North India, despite all of the frustrations we were hearing on the ground, this in many ways shows that there was some pushback. And I agree with Tavleen that the real pushback, you heard different things in different places. The real pushback is against a government at the top which has overstepped its bounds vis-a-vis state institutions. People say different things, but it all boils down to that. Don't change the constitution. Don't change our language. Be careful about delimitation. It all boils down to actually one core point, right? That people believe that the government overstepped its boundaries, crossed a
basically, it's a pushback against unbridled power.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
Banu, sorry, go ahead, Nilanjan. No, go ahead, Nilanjan.
No, and I think, look, it's the greatness of Indian democracy that whenever we have seen somebody cross that line, Modi is still extremely popular. The worst analysis after today would be somehow saying that Modi is not, but Modi is extraordinarily popular. But it doesn't matter. You crossed a line, and you have to be punished, right? And that it is as simple as that. The BJP will still form government with the NDA. Modi will still be prime minister, and yet the lesson is learned.
That's a very interesting and I think a much more nuanced sort of argument. Banu, we've had commentators here say this is a vote against Modi. Now, it's people who don't like the government will say that because Modi was the centerpiece of the campaign. It was Modi hai to mumkin hai, Modi ki guarantee, right? Modi's images on even the ration bags and so on. So that's the flip side of an over-centralized, over-personalized, almost a presidential form of a parliamentary election. But Nilanjan makes the point that the Indian voter, and Tavleen also made the same point, nobody likes anybody, doesn't matter which party, with too much power. Is that how you read what's happened?
So, first of all, in any democracy, the people are the winners. So, kudos to the people of India. And also, the second winner is the election commission for me. And hopefully, the biases about the election commission and the voting machines are buried once for all yet again. So all of us, I think, suffered from anchoring bias between the 303 that BJP got in 2019 and the 400 Par campaign. We all got stuck, and I think we all predicted somewhere around 330, 340 for the BJP. But nevertheless, I think a lot of things change today. If you look at the southern states, not much has changed for the BJP. It is leading in 2 constituencies in Kerala. It won one in Tamil Nadu, and we have to see the vote share. I think it's already doubled from 5% in 2019 to now 10%. In Andhra Pradesh, it is around 20 seats, I guess. In Telangana, it's 18. So I think that if you look at the southern states, I think apart from Karnataka, it is by expectations. But if you look at the 3 largest states that sends the most number of MPs to parliament, UP, Maharashtra, and Bengal, that's where I think BJP has faltered, especially in Purvanchal. And I think a lot of these are still low margin seats, and I think these are going to go to the wire. So we have to wait and see, and in fact, drawing conclusions based on these seats is sort of presumptuous.
I think we can wait for bigger conclusions, but there are some conclusions. The BJP is short of a majority, and it's struggling to cross the majority mark. The NDA is short of 300. The story of the election, there are 2 states that have delivered this for the India Alliance, Uttar Pradesh and Bengal, right? That is what we are looking at right now. Basically, that is exactly in complete contradiction to what the exit polls had projected for both of these states. And indeed, despite all misgivings about the electoral process, the people of India have shown that they are absolutely irrepressible. Even if state institutions, you can argue about the media, you can argue about the umpiring by the election commission, but the voter is not scared to express her opinion. I also find Nilanjan's argument very interesting. By the way, here's a breakdown of some of the BJP allies. Will these allies stay with the BJP? 15 leads for the JDU, 16 for the TDP, 5 for the SHS, 5 for the LJP. So just something to think about, because all kinds of potential churning and realignment is now going to take place. Okay, I want to bring in Tavleen and Karthik. I'm going to request you to, if you can actually maybe hop off and give us a vote share comparison quickly. But in the meantime, we can also look at India, how the India Alliance is breaking down. 97 for the Congress, 33 for the Samajwadi Party, 29 for the Trinamool Congress, 21 for the DMK, and 10 for the Shiv Sena, Uddhav Thackeray. Go ahead, Karthik.
Barkha, the vote share data is with the team and we are processing it, but just a sort of a broad number that I can give you is the Congress's vote share has jumped up by 6 percentage points. The BJP's has jumped up by roughly 2 percentage points. And I think therein lies the story where the exit polls could not catch this. Most exit polls were giving the Congress a jump of roughly 2 percentage points over the 2019 number. But the Congress has crossed 25%. And it is not very far now from where it was in 2009. That is a big jump. And the BJP, although has gained roughly 2 percentage points. I think once the dust settles, people like Nilanjan and I will sit and we will probably talk about how this election has been a fall for the regional parties which were not aligned with either of the two formations. The other thing,
but that doesn't reconcile with how the Samajwadi Party, Mamata Banerjee and Chandrababu Naidu have performed. So let me take your point and open that up. You believe...
No, but Chandrababu Naidu was aligned with the BJP. Samajwadi Party is aligned with the Congress.
I see. You're saying that people had to choose a national anchor, basically.
Exactly,
okay,
yes.
Okay. Tavleen, you wanted to come in. Karthik, I'm going to request you to give us the vote share comparison as soon as you can. Tavleen, go ahead. Tavleen?
Maharashtra.
Yeah, go ahead. Now I can. Yes, I can. Yeah.
Maharashtra to me has been very interesting because here you had this, they got rid of a government with really very high levels of corruption. Everybody knew about those MLAs where they were taken, they were flown in, jets from one 5-star resort. Do you remember that? Do you remember the pulling down of the government 2 years ago, right? And then you have this totally amoral, you take in people who you considered corrupt and you form a new government with the BJP in charge. And at the same time, you have the BJP, certainly you have the Prime Minister going on about how he's the great moralist and there's going to be no corruption and all this. Now, what is interesting is there is very high levels of corruption lower down and people involved. I don't want to get into the details of it, but there are BJP people in this state who are trying to steal colleges and sell the land. And it's a very, very rough lot of BJP people indulging in very serious corruption. So in Maharashtra, what they've done is say, no, we don't accept this. This business of caste, etc. I don't believe it's that at all. I think it's when you have the leader of the country saying, I will put all these corrupt people in jail and, you will not see corruption, etc. And then you have really very high levels of corruption below that. And people can see that there is that corruption. That hasn't gone down well. So Maharashtra, to me, is a very interesting result.
Okay. Shahid, do you want to come in on Nilanjan's point that you can't draw a lazy conclusion that Modi has suddenly become unpopular? Modi has been contained by the voters of India.
You see, Indira Gandhi, when she was defeated, was still extremely popular. But here I agree with Tavleen, and that's the point I made earlier, that the people do not want any person to become an autocrat. Even those who want to vote for BJP, those who support Modi, do not accept that. And that's why in the very beginning, I said it's a victory for the people of this country who believe in democracy. So democracy for them is not just one party or the other party or the EVM or the this kind of vote or that kind. For them, democracy means that there has to be a rule of law. Nobody should be strong enough to go roughshod over the system. And I think that is very important. Another point I would like to make is that it's not just a victory for BJP. BJP may get whatever seat it's going to get ultimately. Am I?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Whatever.
Please. Yes, please.
Yeah, I can hear another voice. Yeah.
No, sorry.
So it is whatever the number of seats BJP gets. The point is that this was an election where all the forces were stacked up against the Congress and the Samajwadi and this alliance. See, media had to play a very important. This is a big defeat for the. I'm sorry to say, this is a big defeat for the media. Media for the last 10 years, especially for last 5 years, and during the elections till this morning, was going absolutely one way. It was absolutely not allowing the opposition to have any space. the voice of the opposition was totally...
Once again, Tavleen wants to interject. Tavleen wants to interject.
She can come in. Let me finish.
Okay.
You can disagree.
Shahid,
You can
not
disagree.
true.
But that is
Rahul
the point I want to
Gandhi
make.
has been given a huge amount of space in the media. In fact, if you look
and the kind of money which was thrown in, the kind of interviews which were given by Modi, now nearly 80 interviews to these channels, the way they went whole hog, that has been defeated, and that is a big victory for the India Alliance and for the people who want this change to take place. A change has come, whether BJP comes back to power or not, but the change has come, and the change has been forced on them by the people of this country. That is the point I want to make.
Okay. Tavleen, respond, and then I'll go to the others. Yeah.
I think it's very unfair to use the media as a whipping dog here. Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi have been covered. No, I don't agree with you that they're not being covered. They were given
covering is something else.
Acha, let her speak now. Shahid, now let her speak. Yeah.
Okay, let me just make my point. It is and on social media, by the way, where I spend a lot of time, the abuse that I have had, if every time I've opened my mouth against the Congress party, please don't imagine that. In fact, the Rahul Gandhi and the Congress party have probably been more active on social media than the thing. And as for the newspapers, I work for a newspaper that has certainly not taken sides. So, and there are some newspapers that always take sides. But, I think that the Hindi media, probably, I think, one or two of the more important Hindi newspapers have been biased, and the television channels have, they have
Okay, let's maybe hold off the meta conclusions till we have all the data, but let's look ahead at what can happen next. What are the possible scenarios that we are looking at, right? I think that's a question that was raised by Sadanand, that what is that number at which the NDA will not make a pitch to form the government, and the BJP will not make a pitch to form the government, and we're still waiting for the final figures, so we don't know the answer to that. But is there a political realignment on the cards, possibly, Shashi, where it comes to parties like Chandrababu Naidu, Nitish Kumar? These are not parties with which the BJP has always had great relationships consistently.
I very much doubt that, because as I can see it, if the pre-poll alliance is past 272, they have the mandate to form the government. I don't think there's any doubt there. First thing. Second thing, the big allies in the NDA are JDU from Bihar, where they have a government to run, TDP, where they're just going to form a new government. There is no way in hell they're going to, bolt the ship now. There is nothing to gain, because you don't have a strong poll on the other side. You have a Congress which is less than 100. Think of what kind of a government that would be, where the principal party is not even 100 seats, right? So that is a non-starter. I don't think that scenario is playing out. What we need to be really looking at is what is the mandate with which the NDA will be able to form the government, whether it is at 300, 300, because that will determine the contours of what kind of an agenda, what kind of cabinet, what kind of political give and take that will happen.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Sadanand, you wanted to come in there. Go ahead.
And,
can we unmute Sadanand? Yeah, there you are. Go ahead.
So I think there are like two distinct things, and I think naturally they're getting a little bit clouded, right? One is the optics, and second is the raw electoral math. If you look at the optics, this is undoubtedly a huge blow to the BJP because of what they had talked about, because of their talking about 400 par, because of the fact that they are so much richer than other parties. They have all this muscle. They have these nasty trolls on social media. They have this whole machinery that they've built over 10 years, and they have the outsized personality of the prime minister. So because they come into, they have this image of an all-conquering army, for them to fall short and lose, at least at this stage, they're losing roughly more than 60 seats. It's no doubt that optically this is a setback for them and a defeat for them.
Yeah.
But I don't think we should necessarily confuse that with the math of forming a government. If you look at governments in the pre-Modi era, 240 seats is a lot. Congress when Congress won 206 seats in 2009, that was considered a huge achievement. Before that, they formed a government with 145 seats and ran it for 5 years. So I think the fact is that the optics suggest that that Modi has received a setback. We have to be upfront and honest about that. But we also have to acknowledge that one party is going to probably come out of this at 240 with a pre-poll alliance that is well above the 272 mark. And another party is going to come out of this having done significantly better than before. All credit to Congress, all credit to Rahul Gandhi, but still being short of triple figures or hovering at the triple figure mark. So I don't think that when you're looking at the hard math of forming a government, these two are really, it's the same story as the story of, which is an attractive story, of the hubris of the BJP humbled. Both can be true. The BJP's hubris has led to a humbling, but that does not materially affect its prospects of forming a government.
Nilanjan, I saw you nodding in agreement that, Modi has been brought down more than a few pegs, but he's still in pole position to form the government. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would take it a step further. I think before the exit polls had come out, I made a comment that while we care, the truth is that the average voter I spoke to could care less whether the BJP won 240 seats or 340 seats. The government will be the same. The prime minister will be the same. And I don't believe that, given what we've seen of how the BJP governs, that just because it has 240 seats or 250 seats, that somehow it's going to become a loose coalition as opposed to a highly centralized sort of, the kind of political centralization that we've been seeing. Of course, it will require some arm twisting and so on and so forth, but I don't think that I think we assume that the BJP is fully capable of that. It is still far bigger than all of its coalition partners, right? So I don't think that I don't think there are any major implications for governance, right? Other than what the BJP and Prime Minister Modi choose to do after they form government. Do they realize that this was a red line that was crossed? It is a red line that was crossed. Today it's showing up electorally, but it actually started with CAA. It started with farmers. These are people who thought that they could not take the parliamentary electoral route to oppose the government. They took to the streets, right? And this is sort of how electoral processes work. Elections are a lagging indicator. Elections are the last thing that happened. The CPM had all but lost before it finally lost the election in West Bengal, right? So, this in some sense should be a wake-up call to the BJP that it has crossed a line, that people did not believe that they could air their grievances through the electoral and parliamentary process. And as long as you don't cross certain red lines, the popularity of Modi, the overall popularity of the BJP can still carry the day.
Okay, let me bring in others on this very interesting question. Nilanjan, just one question to you. You said it doesn't really matter what number they end up at. You believe they'll run the same kind of government as they would have? So you're saying that the BJP at 303, the BJP at 240, and the BJP at 330, whatever. I'm just making up random numbers. It has the same mandate?
No, so to us who look at numbers, it doesn't. But in terms of what they do, in terms of governance, in terms of what the structure is, in terms of political centralization, I don't think very much changes.
So you don't think the BJP is going to take this as a humbling if they form the government?
Only insofar as they understand that there are certain red lines that maybe they shouldn't be crossing. But in terms of the overall governing structure, you still have one party which is far bigger than all of the other coalition partners. And you have two people at the top whose method of governance involves a very significant amount of political centralization, not just with institutions, but within their own parties and coalitions. And it has been so for a very long time.
So let's get responses to this. This is a very interesting argument because, Shashi, you've been arguing that the mandate will be determined by the final numbers. In a way, what Nilanjan is saying is that the essential way of the Modi-Shah-run BJP isn't going to change, neither the party nor the government, even if they come down 65 seats.
No, I don't think so. I don't agree with that because the one thing you will have to give credit to Mr. Modi is that he learns from mistakes and he improvises. Clearly, this is a humbling trend that we are seeing. And I don't think you will see the same kind of political management that happened in the past happening now, because he clearly knows that that will not resonate with the people. There's a certain message in the way, in the manner in which different regions have voted, and he will respect that, knowing him, having seen him, for more than a decade now. So I don't think that that argument holds, that their politics will still be the same. No, it will not. It will change, and they will improvise. They will learn from these mistakes, and they will have a different approach. Now, what that approach would be, I think let's wait and see based on the final numbers.
Okay, let's open this up. Banu, you wanted to come in. Banu?
I have to be unmuted. Yes.
Yeah.
Couple of things. One is, if we take a step back and look at the campaign, see, Modi was fighting a two-time anti-incumbency, right? However good the governments may be, people get at a single phase for 10 years. So maybe that effect is there, and that's why the hyperbolic campaign came into picture. On how Prime Minister Modi will manage the coalition, we have to look at how the BJP managed the Rajya Sabha. Okay, it is a mix of consensus building using carrots and sticks. And also, people should remember that PM Modi was organizing secretary for the BJP in the 90s, and he has actually stitched coalitions, especially in Himachal Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, and so on. So I think he's not alien to stitching coalitions and running coalitions. And the way the Rajya Sabha was run, where the consensus was built and support was got for various bills, should give a pointer to all of us.
Well, I think the question is, will there be a more conciliatory leader or a more aggressive leader? And will that be determined by the numbers? Neelanjan says, the numbers won't change. Jo jeeta wohi Sikandar. It doesn't matter how many seats you form the government with, but there are other views on it. We do have some sense, a fall of 60 seats right now for the BJP, pretty close to the 80 seat mark that Yogendra Yadav had spoken about. Just to be fair, at this point, nobody really believed him when he made that point, but it's looking like that right now. Let's see. Shashi says, let's wait another hour. We'll see where the final numbers end up. A gain of 44 for the Congress. Maybe we can spend some time talking about where this leaves the Congress. Shashi, you wanted to come in? Sorry. Yeah?
Yeah, Shashi? I have a point to make.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a point to make. So I'm recalling what happened in 2012 Gujarat Assembly elections. I remember this very well, because I was in Ahmedabad that day when Mr. Modi went out to give his victory speech at the party office in Kanpur. And from the time he started his speech to the time he ended his speech, there were 12 seats that flipped because the contests were so close, right? Yeah. So I would say that, let the vote count happen. We need to be well past the 50% mark, maybe closer to the 70-80% mark of vote being counted before we can draw very firm conclusions on the final numbers.
I think that's absolutely fair. We don't disagree with that. I'm just going by the trends that we have right now, or the leads that we have right now. And I want to talk a little bit about the Congress. Tavleen, you wanted to come in? Yeah, go ahead, Tavleen.
I just wanted to make the point that I don't agree that things won't change. For a start, inside Parliament, things will have to change. This business of ramming through the farm laws, ramming through CAA, ramming through Article 370, that's not going to happen. And that is a very, very good thing, because actually the institution that has been most diminished with a powerful leader, or with this particular powerful leader, has been Parliament. There has been almost no debate on very, very important laws. And I think that that's a good thing. That will have to change.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair point, that you need numbers for pet projects. Uniform Civil Code. Are your allies going to be on board? If you want to bring up NRC and conjoin it with the CAA, you need your allies to agree. So depending on what the final numbers are, you are going to need or not need your allies, right? But can we spend a few minutes talking about the Congress? The Congress has improved its tally at the moment by about 44 seats. It has taken several decisions in this campaign that many of us thought were wrong. For instance, not fielding a candidate. For instance, not one of the Gandhis not stepping into Amethi, right? Rahul Gandhi's comments on redistribution of wealth have been, criticized. How do we now look at the Congress? I'll start with you, Sadanand, because after the exit polls, you did revive the argument about Rahul Gandhi not being cut out for electoral politics. Does that change? Does your mind change? Were you wrong? Were several commentators wrong given these numbers? I'm not saying Congress has won this election, but the Congress has shown that it is not irrelevant, at the very least.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, particularly if Congress manages to reach 100 seats. Look, has Congress outperformed my very low expectations for it and the very low expectations of several others? Without a doubt. There's no question about it. The debate about whether one approves of or disapproves of the kinds of policies that Rahul Gandhi was propounding is a totally separate thing. I happen to think those are really awful ideas. Now, what this result seems to suggest is that many voters don't think that they're such awful ideas, or at least more voters, than one would have guessed. And it is also possible that this is an argument that's been made by Yogendra Yadav and others, that because of the work he's seen as having put into the Bharat Jodo Yatra and so on, that he may become more acceptable and overcome the kind of Pappu image and so on. So I would say yes, on this day you have to give Rahul Gandhi credit. I still think that if you sort of take a longer term view of his political career, this is not. I mean, he's had a good day. I don't see him as a potential prime minister. I'm sure Congress supporters will disagree with me. So I think that, yeah, I mean, like, if you use a sort of, analogy from cricket, and you think of someone who has, regularly been getting out for 5 and 7 and 3, and that person goes and scores a 50, it's a big deal and it should be applauded. But I don't think that, necessarily I'm going to jump from that to the opposite conclusion, which is that this person is now going to emerge as a credible prime ministerial face or anything like that.
Shahid, do you want to come in on that? Because the point is, let's say Shashi has been saying if the India alliance gets to 72, it has the right to form the government. But they didn't declare a prime ministerial candidate. Again, many of us thought that was a mistake. Even if they declared Mallikarjun Kharge, there would have been for people who said, Agar Modi nahi to aur kaun, there would have been an answer. The India alliance, will it last the remaining term if it's an NDA government? There are many questions now. We actually don't have the answers to a lot of questions. If it's an NDA government, does the India alliance remain a political formation through the next 5 years? Or is there going to be all kinds of tod mode? We don't know what's going to happen. I can't hear Shahid. Yeah, there you are.
Yeah. What I can say is that what the value system of BJP is, it's not the same as that of Congress. Rajiv Gandhi, when it got in 1989 nearly 240 seats, refused to form the government, feeling that they had been brought down by the people and therefore didn't have the right to form the government, although they were invited by the president. So that is not the case. BJP will form the government. Modi will go on with what he has been doing in the past, because they cannot survive otherwise. The kind of speeches he made, the kind of agenda he has got, their hardcore voter survives on hate, and that hate they will have to repackage in some way or the other, and will come with it. We have to see whether the allies will go along with that. If the real question is not whether India will survive for 5 years, the real question is whether NDA will survive for 5 years. And for the moment, Modi will make a comeback, but I don't know what will happen after 6 months or a year, because within BJP and within the NDA, there will be a lot of questions which will be raised, and things may change after that. So things are not going to be as easy for Modi as they were, but I don't think he's going to change in any way. He's very pragmatic. He can accept one day he can call a man the most corrupt, and the other day he can make him the deputy chief minister. He has no scruples about that. No scruples at all. But despite not having any scruples, you are not going to get away with anything and everything all the time.
Well, I think there you and Tavleen made a very important point about how the working of parliament will change. You see, just the fact that you have fewer MPs changes what you can do and what you can't do unilaterally. Okay, I'm going to hand over to Karthik for just a minute, because he's going to take us through some of the swings for both the alliances. Karthik, it's over to you.
Thank you, Barkha. So we have a couple of maps, I think, which we can pull up, which I think I'm sure will sort of clarify the picture really well. Let's start with the India Alliance map, right? So this is the India Alliance map. And before the election started, I think a lot of us thought states like Bihar, Maharashtra, Bengal, Karnataka would be key swing states. Well, actually, that's what's happened. In those states, the India Alliance has gained. But what has actually come as a big surprise is the addition of UP. They've gained a lot of seats in Uttar Pradesh. That dark green represents that. And plus, the Congress has been able to make gains in states like Rajasthan, Haryana, and for me, the biggest surprise, winning seats in Gujarat. Of course, even in Telangana. So, what the India Alliance has been able to do is it has been able to increase its number of seats in the swing states that I just mentioned, where there was expectation of tight contests. But to add to that, UP and large parts of the Hindi heartland, where the Congress and its allies, but predominantly the Congress in direct contest with the BJP, has actually done relatively well. To borrow from Sadanand, if your expectation was low, then at least they have crossed that expectation. But I think in certain areas, they've actually done really well. States like Haryana, for example, and Rajasthan, the India Alliance is touching double digits. Of course, the image flips when we look at the NDA alliance, right? So we always were talking about how they are saturated in North and Western India. So if we can move to the NDA alliance map, and that there'll be some losses in North and West. Well, that did happen. But the assumption was that in a way will be compensated by the eastern seaboard and the southern part of India. There are gains in South and East, but they're not sufficient to cover the losses in the North and the West. And I think the turning of West Bengal in a big way has contributed hugely to the loss of the NDA alliance, plus the emergence of UP as a swing state, which I don't think a lot of people were, at least I wasn't counting as a swing state. I actually thought if the India alliance repeated the performance of 2019, where they kept the BJP around 60, that would be a decent performance. But this for me is a fantastic performance, because I keep in mind that the BSP is no longer a part of the opposition. But I think one of the stories once this election settles is how the BSP's vote share is plummeted to single digits. And my sense is that some of that vote, at least a large part of it, of course the BJP would have got it. But because of the emphasis on the constitution, the India alliance, primarily because of the Congress, was able to corner the Dalit vote, because the Dalits are not natural allies of the SP because of their social composition in their vote banks. So UP was the big outlier. And of course, as I said, surgical strikes by the Congress in states like Haryana, Rajasthan, and Gujarat, where they're able to pick up these two handful of seats. And then the BJP was not able, of course, they lost in the swing states, but they were not able to compensate for it in the eastern board. If we can then see where the Congress is gaining the most, well, if you see, last time the Congress had a single state with double-digit seats. That was Kerala. This time, by the end counting ends, it is a possibility that number may increase to 4 or 5. See, these numbers are from a few minutes back. So Kerala 12, double digit. Maharashtra 11. I don't think that anybody was giving Congress double digit numbers in Maharashtra. In fact, they were being thought of as the weakest link in the Mahavikas Aghadi, but they, along with Shiv Sena UBT, have done a very good job in Maharashtra, it seems. Of course, these numbers are fluctuating. Karnataka, they are in that 9 to 10 zone, so it's fluctuating. Rajasthan, again, they're in that 9 to 10 zone. Tamil Nadu, they only contested single-digit seats. Telangana, they would hope to move to 10, but I doubt that. But Uttar Pradesh, imagine winning 2 seats in 2014, 1 in 2019, having just 2 MLAs in the entire 403-member assembly in Uttar Pradesh, and winning 8 MP seats, or leading in 8 MP seats. This is huge for the Congress, a swing of 7 seats. Now, if we look at the same for the BJP, where the BJP has lost, the biggest losses for the BJP, of course, are coming from Uttar Pradesh, where they lost 30 seats. Madhya Pradesh, they are gaining 1. Gujarat, they are losing 2. Rajasthan, they are losing 11. Karnataka, 9. Maharashtra, 12. Bengal, 8. Jharkhand, 2. Haryana, 6. They only seem to be gaining in Odisha, 10 seats, big chunk, and Telangana, 4. Madhya Pradesh, they are gaining 1 seat. And Andhra Pradesh also, because of the alliance, they might gain a couple of seats here and there. And Kerala, it seems they're getting 2 seats. So that's basically the larger national perspective. But I guess once the dust settles, we will have a lot of micro details to ponder about. For example, in UP, I'd be very interested in understanding how the BSP vote share kind of has scattered between the two formations. Back to you, Barkha.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you, Karthik, for that deep dive. Sadanand, I know you have to leave. You're on America time. Let me get a last perspective from you. I think we're still counting numbers. Hi, Zainab. It's good to see you. Zainab Sikandar of the RLD is with us. Shashi, Nilanjan, Banu, Tavleen are still with us. Sadanand, last thoughts. This isn't fully over yet. I think most of us agree that it's going to be an NDA government. I think Shashi makes the very important point that the mandate of this government will be determined by the final figures. As we speak, the NDA has hit 300. There could be close contests. It could inch above, but it isn't the BJP inching above 300. The BJP looks set to fall below the majority mark on its own. Sadanand.
Yeah, so I think, at this point, the best case scenario from a BJP perspective is that they that NDA gets above 300 and that the BJP gets at least above 250, right? For the past, hour and a half or so, they've been struggling at around the 240 mark. Obviously, even if it does that, it's a real come down compared to everything that was suggested by the exit polls and what was suggested by the party. But as I hit the sack, I just want to say that when I wake up in a few hours, I would not be surprised if the BJP has managed to either pick up about 15 seats or 20 seats even compared to now, or lose even more ground, right? And I actually think, and this is sort of I would agree with Tavleen and Shashi over here, that actually the numbers are going to be enormously important, both for the Prime Minister's image and for the workability of a government and for the kind of policies that it's likely to follow. A BJP going in with 200 and forming a government with 220 or 230 is very different from a BJP forming a government with 260. Let alone being able to somehow, at this point, inch across that single party majority mark. So, game still very much still on. My bet at this point is that, we are going to see Modi sworn in as Prime Minister again, but it'll be a very different government, very different feeling government, I would imagine, than from what we've seen in the last two iterations.
Okay, Sadanand, we're going to say thank you to you. For anybody who's just tuning in, and I can't imagine who that person is. Here's the situation right now. The NDA is below the 300 mark. The BJP is below the majority mark. It still seems likely to be an NDA government with the BJP as the single largest party. But the BJP, unless something changes over the next 60 minutes or so, is unlikely to reach a majority of its own. One thing we can call is it in the battle of pollsters, Yogendra Yadav, who's not a pollster, who's a politician actually with the opposition, has come closest thus far to having called the election accurately, because he did say that the BJP would be pulled below the majority mark. Tavleen Singh is with us, Banu Chandra is with us, Nilanjan, Shashi are with us, Zainab Sikandar of the RLD and Abhishek Dutt of the Congress are with us. Welcome everybody. Karthikeya, before I know you're going to go soon as well, just give us a quick overview of where things stand in a more granular way for anybody who's just tuning in and saying, hey, what the hell is going on?
So at this point, the NDA alliance, as per our numbers, 298, and of this, BJP is roughly 241. India Alliance 225, Congress 93. And as I was just using the maps to show, essentially what's happened is that there were 4 swing states in my dictionary at least. Add Rajasthan, Haryana, and that's 5th, I guess, half and half each. And in all 5 states, the BJP has suffered losses. Karnataka, Maharashtra, Bengal, Bihar, and Rajasthan, Haryana. Some more, some less. That, as per exit polls, was supposed to happen, but that was supposed to get compensated by gains in Odisha, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, and actually Bengal was supposed to be a gain for the BJP. The gains in Odisha have fructified, and Andhra have fructified, and Telangana have fructified, but they've not been sufficient to compensate for these swing states, only because UP has swung. I think that's the big story. So UP has swung in a big way, which I don't think anybody anticipated. Everybody was giving them 65 plus or 60 plus. And at this point, even as we speak, I think the India Alliance are like 38, 41, there and there, yo-yoing around that 40 mark.
I mean, I think even those who thought that there would be some hit thought it would be a 5 or 6 seat hit in
Correct,
Uttar
but at this
Pradesh.
point, India is 44 to the NDA is the 35. So that I think is the biggest swing, because otherwise the idea was that in these swing states, the BJP is able to contain damage. In Karnataka, they had an alliance with JDS. In Maharashtra, they had broken the parties. In Bihar, they had gotten the JDU from the India fold. And in West Bengal, they were working on their party machinery and the narratives. And one thought, they'll be able to gain control of these swing states. What has happened is Karnataka, Bihar, Maharashtra have dealt them some more, some less blows. Bengal has dealt them a big blow. And to add to that, UP has dealt them an even bigger blow. It has not been compensated either from the south, where they've gained in little bit in Kerala, Tamil Nadu, more so in Telangana, Andhra, and on the eastern seaboard, only Odisha is a green sort of signal.
Let me just jump in there to say that the 3 big states that have determined the outcome of this election have been Uttar Pradesh, Bengal, Mamta holding her own despite what everybody said. It wasn't even a tight fight. She performed much better than last time. And
look at the table on the swings of the BJP.
Okay, so this is interesting. The BJP has gone down by about 30 seats from the last time. It's not gone down in Madhya Pradesh. It's gone down 2 seats in Gujarat. It's gained 10 in Odisha. It's gone. Am I reading this right?
Gone down
the BJP has gone down 11 in Rajasthan, again something that nobody actually predicted.
And in 5 to 7, but nobody said 11. In
Karnataka, the Congress wagered that it would get 10 seats. It's almost close to. It's almost made it, because the BJP has gone down about 9 seats. And I can't actually read Maharashtra. If you could play that, Maharashtra, it's down by about 12 seats. Is that down for the BJP? Is it down for the BJP or the NDA? Can I remove the banner, please?
This is all for BJP, Barkha. That's what this slide is all about. That we showed a slide where the Congress is gaining, and this is a slide where we are showing where the BJP is losing. So the Congress is gaining in all the states where the BJP, of course, and look at these swings. To add to that, Bengal is a negative swing of 8, Haryana -6, Jharkhand -2, and Telangana is a gain of 4. So again, reiterating that the negative swings are not compensated by the positive swings.
That's right. And I can see Ujjwal Deepak of the BJP joining us. Let's open this up. We have a good idea of the Congress and the BJP swings. Shruti Kapila is with us as well. Tavleen said democracy has won. Is the biggest loser exit polls, or is it somebody else, Tavleen?
The biggest loser is Narendra Modi.
Do you think the biggest loser is Narendra Modi? Because Nilanjan made the point that he's still extremely popular. He's been humbled. He's not been ousted.
No, he ruled India like a ruler, not as the Pradhan Sevak as he projected himself to be. His picture was on every Labharthi's gifts, his statues. You couldn't go to an airport without running into a cutout of Narendra Modi. You couldn't go to a train station without running into Narendra Modi. He really ruled like an autocrat. And I think that he's going to find it very hard to be that kind of prime minister again. He's definitely the biggest, in my view, in the biggest loser in this election. The other biggest loser, in my view, is Yogi Adityanath. Because, as Kartikeya was saying, UP has really...
Can we go back to the first slide where we can see the UP swing? Go ahead, Tavleen. Yeah.
So, in UP...
Tavleen, go ahead. Yeah.
When I was in UP, this double-engine Sarkar business was going on a lot. And, you met Muslims who were really disenchanted with what was going on. But everybody thought that Yogi would for sure be able to pull the BJP to at least 60, right? That's what I'd heard. And, it really is a shock that, for me personally. So I think Yogi is a big loser. And I'm very happy about that, because I think that this business of the bulldozer justice that he started and actually showed off about in interviews about, oh, this is wonderful. And, it was terrible, some of the things that happened. People was in their houses when they were broken down in UP. And, so for me, as far as I'm concerned, it's a good thing. I think the 2 people who've lost the most in this election, politicians that have, are Modi and Yogi.
Barkha, can I add something quickly?
Yeah, sure.
Karnataka is a big lift up for Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge. The Congress is sweeping Hyderabad, Karnataka.
That's very interesting. Basically, everything has been largely predictable other than UP and Bengal. When I say predictable, I don't mean by the exit polls.
Yeah.
I'm saying what the parties expected to do, right? Mr. Modi thought that they were going to make dramatic gains in Bengal and dramatic gains in Telangana, and that would offset marginal losses in Uttar Pradesh. I think the BJP did expect some losses in Uttar Pradesh. What happened instead was dramatic losses in Uttar Pradesh and no compensation in Bengal. These two states have really defined the outcome of the election, and to some degree, the Congress holding its, resisting in Rajasthan, right? And Telangana.
Haryana.
But Haryana was expected. Haryana, the Congress was expected to do much better.
The scale, Barkha, is pretty 6-4. Can I add something else in UP, Barkha? It's very interesting. UP mein, the Purvachal seats have swung in a big way, which means that the caste calculus was a very big factor. The only way in which you could have won Purvachal in such a Hindutva ka leher was if you played your caste politics right. And this despite the fact that the BSP was seen to be, I'm not making a claim, I'm just saying, look at the candidate selection, seemed to be helping the BJP through its candidate selection.
Okay. I really need to open this up. Yeah, Karthik. We've got lots of people waiting to speak. Ujjwal, how disappointed are you?
No. What is the reason for disappointment, Barkha? We are winning.
आप 400 पार के बाद 300 पार भी नहीं हो रहे हो अभी एनडीए के साथ. हाँ जी.
Who is making the government? Who is becoming the Prime Minister of India?
You tell me. At the moment, I think it's NDA.
Prime Minister Modi. NDA is going to form the government with a clear majority. Also, I would like to ask one question. Today, I am going to talk about EVMs. As on time, at 1:15 in the afternoon, on the results day, does Congress or the UPA or the Indi Gadbandhan believe in EVMs and the transparency of the Election Commission? Do they believe in it? Do you believe in it?
I have always believed in it. I have always believed in it. You could see my tweet yesterday.
Is democracy still existent in India? Does it still exist?
Sir,
what happened to all the allegations made?
Acha,
Election Commission. Yeah.
And I will put it to the Congress and others who thought electoral democracy was imperiled. I am not one of those. My tweet this morning or yesterday said that whoever wins, we must not question the electoral process, right?
Definitely.
Now, can you now tell me, are you disappointed?
No. BJP and NDA together are making the government. We are achieving what we wanted. We wanted Prime Minister Modi to become the Prime Minister for a third time and just wait till 6 p.m. We're making the government. Why should we be even unhappy? We are very happy. The Ludus are still in process. They are getting delivered and we are going to celebrate in the evening. 400 par nara. So what is the reason to celebrate here for the Congress and Indi Gadbandhan? That they perform better?
Let's ask them. Let's ask them. Abhishek Dutt, what is the reason for you to be happy when they are not forming the government? Abhishek?
नफरत के बाजार में मोहब्बत की दुकान खुल गई. You know, first of all, I'm extremely thankful to the voters of our country for giving this beautiful mandate. The BJP spokesperson is still showing his arrogance on your channel. He must understand that in Ayodhya, BJP is losing. The way BJP started this election, it was never a fair election. Freezing the Congress party's bank account just before the election when we were doing our booking by advertisement for our choppers, they come up with this absurd notice from the Election Commission that our accounts are frozen. At the same time, misusing their machinery, misuse of ED, CBI. See, people of a country are not blind. They might not speak, but they do vote. When you talked about the press, if you look at the ranking of fair press, India stands 157 number out of 176. I was on ground for the last 5 months. I've been all over UP. I happen to be co-in charge for Karnataka. The writing on the wall was very clear that Bharatiya Janata Party is losing. And the more they started misusing words like Mahila, Masjid, They will take away your Mangal
Sutra.
People don't like this. And you know what Narendra Modi ji started in 2014? Let me tell our BJP spokesperson. The first person to raise his voice against EVM was Narendra Modi ji, not the Congress party or us. The day he started his campaign in 2013, he said EVM is not right, it should be ballot paper. And whatever he started with in 2014 is in complete contradiction.
But Abhishek, can I ask you
Yes,
something?
Yes, please.
We'll talk about the politics, but it is true that since last night, once the exit polls came, a number of opposition leaders, Mr. Kharge's unprecedented open letter to the bureaucracy to act without fear or favor, to asking workers to reach district headquarters, it seemed for a moment that the Congress would not have accepted an adverse verdict. And I think what Ujjwal is saying is you can't celebrate democracy if it goes your way and question it if it doesn't go your way. And that's a legitimate question to ask today.
Barkha, let me give you an example. During the last Vidhan Sabha election, I happened to be in Karnataka, Bengaluru, when I can say it on a channel with complete fact, Soumya Reddy had won the election. The election commissioner had not signed on an application. I was there. After which, all of a sudden, she loses her election.
But she asked for a recount, right? She asked for the recount.
Yes, no, because she didn't ask for the recount. We had won the election.
Okay.
Then the election commissioner signs on the document and leaves the place. We kept on screaming and protesting, and I know I've contested 4 elections, till now. Once the signatures are done, then nothing happens. So we were very clear that BJP will try their best to misuse the machinery, and as an opposition, we have to be strong on ground also. We have to tell our workers that we are there fighting against Bharatiya Janata Party. It's not only Bharatiya Janata Party. I'm telling you, leaders within Bharatiya Janata Party will be happy today. The way Modi ji has sidelined everyone in Bharatiya Janata Party and the opposition people, they don't like it. He wants to bulldoze his image everywhere.
Okay.
Sorry.
You complete your point, then I'll go to the others. Yeah.
And at the same time, we must not forget 4 facts. The Bharat Jodo Yatra by Shri Rahul Gandhi ji, the Nyaya Yatra by Mr. Rahul Gandhi ji, the way Mr. Kharge ji has managed all the alliance partners. At the same time, Priyanka ji went all over the country and fought the fight against constitution. The way Bharatiya Janata Party was claiming that they want to change the constitution of a country. Tell me, have you ever met one person who's criticizing the constitution of a country? Why Bharatiya Janata Party?
No, I have been reporting that from my travels, in particular, India's Dalit community started worrying that their reservation was going to be, the protection that the constitution gave them would be dented if the BJP got an overwhelming mandate. Meanwhile, Kishorilal Sharma, a choice that many of us criticized for, we said that the Gandhis had run away. He's leading in Amethi. I'm just saying he's leading in Amethi. I need to get Shruti and Zainab in and then go around the panel again.
Barkha, just one second.
Yes,
Okay. I've trained under Kishorilal Sharma in 2004. When his ticket got announced, I had tweeted, he's one person who knows Amethi inside out. And he will come as a dark horse and defeat Barkha.
Defeat Barkha.
I'm sorry. He'll defeat the Bharatiya Janata Party. And I'm so happy someone like him who knows Amethi and people trust him. And he's defeated our BJP candidate from there.
That's an old picture of Kishorilal Sharma from very young Priyanka Gandhi.
In this election.
You happen to work in this election? Well, okay.
And you had come to cover Priyanka ji, if you remember.
I do remember, and I did that interview with her at that time. Yes. Okay. Let's open this up. Shruti and Zainab haven't spoken. 1 minute. Karthik, you have an update? Okay, go ahead.
No, I just need to leave, Barkha. Before I leave, I just want to add something which we haven't mentioned.
Yeah. Yes.
Given that the India Alliance and the Congress especially seems to be doing well in rural constituencies, it says something about the pitch on the caste census, on the constitution, on the reservations, on redistribution, whatever. Something has worked. Something has clicked. And I think we will have to do that analysis later, but I think credit where it's due.
Okay, point taken. Thank you, Karthik. Stay as long as you can. Thanks for taking us through the numbers. Shruti Kapila, go ahead.
Hi, thanks.
Hi.
So, really exciting morning in lots of ways. Of course, I agree for the first time with Tavleen Singh to say that this is Prime Minister Modi's loss. He had made this into a plebiscite, and given that it's now going to actually need, the India is actually going to need Chandrababu Naidu in Andhra and Nitish Kumar in Bihar. These are the people.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. It's such an interesting detail. Indore, where the Congress candidate actually switched to the BJP, none of the above is at the high, is at number 2.
Excellent. I mean,
I just wanted
excellent.
to.
I mean, that speaks for the process.
Yes,
the fact that I was so shocked that today the tally started at 1 because Surat was already given as even though that was terrible. But I think so that I think is interesting, and I think symbolically it's going to be really important if the opposition wins Ayodhya Faizabad. I think it would be as important as a taking down of the mosque in 1992. So I think it's a fascinating election because it really tells us that actually also the reporters won out over the pollsters. I mean, I texted you this morning saying that, your reportage itself was showing that this kind of result is not possible. You cannot have a tsunami without a wave. And no one, absolutely no one had reported a wave. So I think all that is, the obvious stuff. But I think there's also an absolute flip between the Congress and the BJP, because the BJP used to be the ideological party. People joined it for, what they believed in, whether it was a Hindu Rashtra or so on. But with 100+ turncoats and a kind of pursuit of relentless power and authority that has kind of converted the party, it's actually the Congress now that stands for a bunch of principles. And it's now a leaner, meaner, more ideological party. And I think there is fight back in the system. And that I think is good for India, because I got massively trolled when I said that if these are the results, India is becoming a party state. But who wants to live in a party state? Certainly Indians don't wish to. And also the final thing I want to say is that the whole bogey of the North-South, as South being more progressive and the North being, backward in its politics, also stands questioned, because the fight, the whole point was that the BJP had to be fought. I mean, for the BJP, Karnataka had been important to make into the southern gateway. Then for the opposition, resting UP, Haryana, Rajasthan was incredibly important. And I think that has happened, which means that you cannot. And finally, whether it's in academia or whether it is in commentary, it was always thought that, the Constitution is a liberal elite pursuit. That this is something that matters to either people who end up going to the court or, people who are really interested in, fine principles of politics. And that has actually been shown that it is an absolute issue of emotive attachment for Indians. And so much so that the Prime Minister had to respond to it. And of course, as I said the last time, the opposition set the narrative. Prime Minister Modi had to respond to it. So whatever the final numbers, this is a day that belongs to India's opposition.
Okay, Zainab, do you agree? You're obviously with the NDA, the RLD. Do you believe that Mr. Modi has been humbled, the day belongs to the opposition, the NDA could form the government, but the moral victory or the narrative victory is still that of the opposition, not just because of Modi, Prime Minister Modi's charge of power, but because the BJP is falling below the majority mark on its own? Zainab.
Firstly, Barkha, let's get one thing clear. The NDA is coming back to power. So whether the number is there or not is another question. The NDA is forming government again. So let's have that very clear. Now, I've always said this in all the shows that I came in. Actually, the yardstick had been changed from the very beginning. The entire nara of 400 par basically was showing that we are going to have a major tsunami victory. But the reality is that, call it psychology, call it the way Modi ji wanted to run his campaign, he was a winner from the very start. Now what's happened is the numbers have come down, so people are trying to look at it and, oh my God, the win is not so grand as he expected it to be. Perhaps, yes, especially now because my party is from Uttar Pradesh and I want to speak about Uttar Pradesh. I will not shy away from it. We were expecting better numbers in Uttar Pradesh. We were expecting to, sort of have at least 65 seats there. I'm telling you very honestly, this was what we internally expected. But reality of the matter is, the NDA has still won. So you can't just, make this topic entirely about how, it's just the India alliance. Of course, they've come back. Yes, they have. I've also been a political analyst, so I've covered the last two general elections, as a political analyst. So I know, of course, the India Alliance has come back. But here again, you have to see the power of regional parties, which I always speak about, that the regional parties are the ones who are supposed to be called the winners. Even in NDA right now, look at TDP, look at Nitish Kumarji. I mean, the phenomenal numbers that they have come with. So, and also another thing that I would like to point out, firstly, the entire bogey of EVM, which I always hated. And Congress has to concede that they use EVM selectively as a fair instrument of democracy and sometimes an unfair instrument of democracy. So they have to agree that they've always taken the EVM as an excuse for losing. Number one. Number two, the whole bogey of democracy khatre mein hai. And I'm speaking today as RLD Pravakta, as an RLD spokesperson, which I very proudly say is a very secular party. We have a huge voter base in minorities. And also, now that we are part of
Zainab, the BJP is currently leading in 243 seats. That's coming down from 303. I'm not even talking about the NDA right now, okay? From 303 to 243 is more than a 60-seat fall, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right?
And this is why it is needed within the BJP.
Sorry, say that again.
Introspection be needed within BJP as an allied partner.
Okay.
Consider already a small party. We are very open to say that perhaps BJP needs introspection when it comes to how they go about their campaigning and where perhaps they feel they are very strong. But you can't say that the BJP has not done well. Come on, 10 years of power and yet you score numbers. They must be doing something right. You remember UPA lost phenomenally after 10 years. So anti-incumbency is a huge factor. You can't say anti-incumbency doesn't exist at all. Of course, there will be people who are like, we gave you 10 years and you didn't perform.
Let's for a moment talk about these others, right? These are the latest leads right now. There are 242 for the BJP. Could we have also the slide with the swings? But the 95 for the Congress, almost double of what it had last time. And 206 others. And there you can actually see the swings. It will give you a comparison to the 2019 seats. What happens next? Is there going to be a churn? Is there going to be a Chandrababu Naidu? I know, Shashi, I've asked you this before, but I'm going to ask you again. A Chandrababu Naidu, a Nitish Kumar, not too many to take or target. The RLD, not too recently on the other side. Do you see that vulnerability in the NDA, or do you think that the gap is still big enough between the two alliances for that not to take place? Shashi, can you hear me?
Was that a question for me?
Yes, it was for you. Go ahead, Shashi. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I don't think the gap is vulnerable in any way, because if you look at the two big allies, JDU and TDP, they both have state governments to run. I would want to get into an arrangement where the center is weak. So I don't see any vulnerability within the NDA. However, I think reacting to what some of the other earlier speakers said.
Sorry, Shashi, you seem to have bad network today. Let me get Abhishek in. Abhishek,
that it will have to take. And knowing Mr. Modi, I'm sure.
Shashi, you're bunching up. Can you reconnect? Abhishek, is it certain to be, we had Ghansham Tiwari of the Samajwadi Party on earlier, and he and Sanjay Baru made this formulation that it's going to be an NDA government with a different prime minister. I'll ask Ujjwal that in a moment. But do you concede Zainab's point that it's definitely an NDA government? What you and the opposition have successfully done is to bring a check and balance. It's a containment election. It's a containment of overarching power election. Is that how you see the verdict, Abhishek?
Barkha, it's not us, it's the people of our country who've done that for our country. They are the ones who've decided on this. And I can say it on the channel, it's not certain that Mr. Modi will be the next Prime Minister.
Why do you say that? Why do you say that?
Mr. Modi has to lobby within his party and with the alliances to become the Prime Minister for the third time. See, you must realize within the Bharatiya Janata Party, there's a very big unit which does not like the way Mr. Modi functions. People who are winning elections for you in different states, you remove them from chief ministership. They don't speak because you have the numbers with you. You sideline one entire senior leadership in Rajasthan, in Madhya Pradesh, even in UP to a very big extent. You bulldoze your decision on the people. You capture the opposition through ED and CBI. You break small regional parties for your benefit. Imagine out of 411 seats that they're fighting, 126 were from other political parties, out of which 28 were those people who had serious charges put by Mr. Modi. Who started the other scam in India? That was Mr. Modi. Who spoke about the Ajit Pawar? Mr. Modi. All these people who he was accusing, why is Maharashtra voting against Bharatiya Janata Party? You must see. Why people in Ayodhya voted against Bharatiya Janata Party? You must see. They don't like this politics of Mr. Modi. By claiming that you're providing free ration to 83 crore people, at the same time you criticize other schemes of other state government is not right. He was the one who went to Karnataka and said Congress he guarantee jhuti hogi if they win in the state election. Not even a single guarantee will be fulfilled. I'm telling you today, all 5 promises we made in Karnataka we have fulfilled. When we give any benefit to the people, we are misusing our power. When he gives ration to 83 crore people, what sign of the country that you're showing? Promises made to the farmers. The rural belt has voted against Bharatiya Janata Party. At the same time, all the SC segment have voted against them because the way they show themselves and what they do in reality is very different. In Maharashtra, 2 Rajya Sabha given to one person who comes from the Congress, Mr. Ashok Chavan, other is Mr. Deora. People within Maharashtra and Bharatiya Janata Party are not happy with the way they're functioning. When you're passing on Rajya Sabha to Congress people who they've been fighting for the last 40 years. And I'm telling you today, you will not be surprised. A lot of small regional parties might leave. I'm telling you again, after seeing Uttar Pradesh result, I can tell you today, a lot of small parties might leave BJP and come and stand with the India Alliance.
So here's the question for you, Ujjwal. Chandrababu Naidu, I know Shashi Vempati said, why would he leave? There's state politics. Nitish Kumar can leave anytime, leave anybody anytime. We know this, right? You said there's nothing to be disappointed about. Is it the NDA vulnerable? You have only 30, and I'm just calculating. You have less than a 50-seat gap between the two alliances.
Barkha, I'm amazed at the sadistic pleasure, the comments being made here. Like, you know, in Chhattisgarh, there's a kahavat कि मुझे इस बात का दुख नहीं है कि मेरे हाथ की थाली गिर गई, मुझे इस बात की खुशी कि तेरे हाथ का रसगुल्ला गिर गया. Look at it. Look at it.
अंग्रेजी में कहते हैं Schadenfreude, but
yes. So look at the irony here. The opposition, the entire opposition is fighting for Mr. Modi to be removed as a prime minister. They're not fighting. They didn't fight the election for their win. They fought the election कि मोदी और योगी हार जाएं, कुछ कम हो जाए, रसगुल्ला गिर जाए. So look at it. Look at how opposition has behaved. They've only spread misinformation in the entire campaign. And this conspiracy theory is being put up by Mr. Abhishek here, our fellow spokesperson, that Mr. Modi will have to lobby and this guy will live. And so that is within our party. He should not worry about it. What I'm amazed at is that these people are happy of, you know, the people winning who have Vanshwad in their families, a Gandhi family ruling the entire country for over 5 decades, 6 decades now. So tell me one thing, when did it last happen that the incumbent government, the ruling government won for the 3rd time in India? This is only for the 2nd time this is happening, right? Shouldn't that be the reason to celebrate for BJP and NDA?
Okay,
why should we even be disappointed?
Let me take that to Tavleen Singh. Tavleen, you identified 2 big losers in, political losers today. You said one was Mr. Modi because it was a referendum on Mr. Modi. The other was Yogi Adityanath, given what's happened in Uttar Pradesh. Ujjwal makes the point that the government is theirs, the prime minister is going to be Mr. Modi, and the entire opposition is one singular aim कि किसी तरह कोई और प्रधानमंत्री आए. How do you call this a defeat? It's, this is a 3rd term election. How do you call this a defeat? Why do you call Modi the biggest loser today?
Because it was a plebiscite. It was a referendum on Modi. He said over and over again, just think of me when you're voting. It wasn't the candidate. It was all Mr. Modi. The whole election was about him. And so, he is the biggest loser. But I actually agree with, that there's going to be a churning within the BJP, and that there are plenty of people inside the BJP who would like to see another chief minister, another prime minister. And Modi himself, we don't know what he might be thinking. Because, he's kind of a proud man, and he might say, "Theek hai, kisi aur ko de do." So, I'm not at all sure how it's going to work. But I just want to make one more point, and then I have to leave Barkha.
Okay, Tavleen. Okay, go ahead.
The point, if there is a churning and introspection needed inside the BJP, there is as much needed inside the Congress party. The economics, as Sadanand pointed out, that Rahul Gandhi was propagating would take India, would make Venezuela on the Ganges, redistribution of wealth, all of that kind of thing. And, secondly, there are plenty of younger leaders in the Congress party who have been kept down, and then suddenly they surprise you by coming out of nowhere, like Revanta Reddy, and winning an election. I think that the Congress party needs to also wonder why so little has changed, that the advisors of Rahul Gandhi have been the advisors of Rajiv Gandhi. So there's a lot of churning needed in both political parties.
Okay, Tavleen, we got but
no, but I'm just saying that Mr. Modi himself might decide that
it's unusual for anyone to say no to power in any party. I've never seen it happening. Have you ever seen it happening?
Well, I no, no, I haven't. Who expected this result? Did you? Did I? I mean, Yogendra Yadav expected it. I thought that the BJP would come down to.
I think most of us who traveled thought that the BJP would come down 20, 25 seats. Instead, the BJP has come down 60 plus seats. That's the difference. I think that is the difference.
So in politics, anything can happen. But as I said before, democracy has won, and we should all celebrate.
Absolutely. Okay. Bye, Tavleen. Bye, Tavleen. Thanks for your time.